Thank you so much for joining us as we get ready for the show. Start the radio side. Gorgeous Jenny and Phil Minervino. Good to see you all as we continue on here. And who else do we have in the chat room so far? Who am I missing? There's Coach Clearfloss. What's happening? Hey, Lee, how you doing, man? Lunar Eclipse Paranormal. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio's chat room. Thank you so much. Phil's giving a Merle right there. That's always nice. He loves to Merlin up. Steve Wilson from Scotland. How are you? Zero Cool with a Merle. Vinman with a Merle. Everybody's doing the Merle tonight. The gorgeous and talented Deanna's Vlogs and more. You haven't been here in a few days. It's nice to see you. And we are caught up. Just like that. Poof. Oh, there he is. Mr. Cowley. Welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. All right, we got 10 seconds. Super Chat is open. If you're new here, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, because we love your support on a nightly basis. And speaking of which, horns up, people. Time to rock with Bumblefoot. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, and check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a show for you tonight on Ghosts of the Great White North, as Merle is back from the Paranormal Road Trippers, investigating out of Vancouver, British Columbia. However, with the weather that's going on in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, it's a little tough right now for Merle and his team to go out and chase down some ghosts. But nonetheless, the topic du jour, paranormal, and maybe a little cryptid sprinkled in. Why? Because Amanda Paulson is here. She's a paranormal investigator from Spokane, Washington. She started Pretty Effin' Spooky in March of 2019 with the intent of having a place to share anything she found pretty spooky. She says, I began traditional ghost hunting with the team in 2008, but had not done any professional investigating for some time before starting her new group, until she was lured back by what she called the pull of the paranormal, and she is rocking it. Over 15,000 subscribers on Instagram alone. And Merle, Amanda, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Good to have you both here. Merle, let's hear from you right off the bat. Good to have you here, buddy.
Happy to be here. Feels like we were here doing this yesterday.
I know.
Let's get going.
And we should tell people, next week is another edition of Ghosts, The Angry Ghost Hunter with Ross Allison and Jacob Rice and Merle himself, which will happen before this show. But who's our new friend here, my friend?
This is Amanda Paulson. They call her Pretty Effin' Spooky on Instagram, and that's kind of where we met each other through there, followed each other's posts and whatnot, and she's been to some pretty cool places, and I'd like to pick her brain about some of the places she's been.
Very cool. And Amanda, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. It's good to have you here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is super exciting. This seems super fun already.
Oh, well, we try and do our best here. You know, a couple Canadian guys hanging on out and, doing our thing. We're just blushing now that you said that. We're blushing. Thank you for the recognition. Amanda, for you, how did you get involved in paranormal investigation? What led you to this field?
So I had my first paranormal experience when I was only 7 years old. I lived in this haunted duplex, is what I call it, where stuff would move on its own. I'd have nightmares. I just kind of was thrown into the world of the paranormal when I was just about 7 or 8 years old. And at first I hated it. I was super scared of it, but it kind of followed me after that throughout my life. And then when I turned 18 in 2008, I decided to kind of explore why that was, what the paranormal was doing in my life, and kind of
Oh, she froze up just like that. Paranormal doesn't want her here. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Oh, there you go.
I will warn you guys, my apartment does tend to be haunted here and there. So we'll deal with that as we go. But yeah, basically I had a whole lifetime of paranormal experiences. And then I turned 18 and I said, you know what? I'm a grown up now. I'm going to join a ghost hunting team and I'm going to find out why I'm having these paranormal experiences and how I can live with it for the rest of my life.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, for you, take us back to when you were a child. What happened there at 7 years old?
Yeah, so my grandma and my mom and I, we moved from California up to Billings, Montana, which is where I grew up. And we got a duplex. It was like probably built in the 1960s or 70s. Honestly, it didn't look very spooky at all. And I can't recall having any predisposition to the paranormal or to spooky shows or movies or anything. But I came into that duplex and I remember the first thing I thought as a child was like, there's something else here. It's spooky here. I don't know what's going on, but it's scary. And then soon after, I ended up having an experience where I was on my floor coloring. My head was facing towards a hallway. So my body was like to my bedroom. And I had a big wood dresser drawer set and a glass vase on top of it. And as I'm coloring and I'm like singing some weird song because I'm 7, and I can hear this glass vase move all the way from one side of the dresser to the other. And I remember this so distinctly, and it scared the crap out of me. And I like yelled and I went to my mom and I was like, we have to switch rooms. But it didn't stop after that. I ended up seeing like my dolls would kind of move at night. It was very bizarre. And like I said, I would have these vivid nightmares, which ended up following me for quite some time after that. But I never really found out what that was exactly. I think we moved out of there when I was like about 5th grade. But I later kind of came to find out that those sort of experiences would maybe follow me versus it really being about the house.
Have you always been a conduit since then?
So I don't like consider myself to have any kind of abilities or anything like that. Up until recently, I've just started kind of exploring that as an idea, which is why now I talk about, I think it followed me. That's a very new discovery for me. So I would say that right now I don't really know what I'm doing with that. I entered the ghost hunting field in 2008 as a very traditional ghost hunter. Of course, you guys know what 2008 looked like for the ghost hunting field on TV and in media. And I entered it just like that with equipment. And like, I wasn't trying to be a medium or anything like that. It was just something I always knew and was just super used to being around the paranormal. But now I'm kind of opening up to the idea that maybe there's something else there that I can kind of tap into.
Very cool. Very cool. So as you've kind of grown into adulthood with this field and learned more about the paranormal, what have you learned to like about it and dislike about this field?
That's a great question. I love that this field constantly pushes me to expand my knowledge of it. It's so huge. Just occult studies in general is so massive that it humbles me constantly. The second I think I know what I'm doing and I'm some kind of expert or something, then I'm humbled by something else I don't know or something else I haven't experienced yet. And I love that. I love being pushed like that and learning new things all the time. As far as what I don't like about it, there's not much I don't like about it. I will say it is an expensive hobby. It can be kind of expensive and very time consuming. especially when you throw social media into the mix. It's very like, it definitely consumes my life. I love it enough for that to be okay, but I'd say probably the time and money is a bit much sometimes.
For sure. Merle, how you doing there?
I'm doing well. I was going to chirp in about the money part. It's never ending. It's a hobby that doesn't pay you much back, if anything, except for the love of what we do. And I'm the same way with you, where I like this field because you're always learning. You'll talk to John, who has this cool outlook on like an EVP style, or you'll talk to Edna, who has an outlook on how to do an investigation in a certain way. And I find for me, I'm always learning and getting new tools to add to my belt to like further me as an investigator. And I think that's what makes this feel cool when you have progressive investigators wanting to learn, wanting to work with people, wanting to be humble enough to bounce ideas off each other. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna go back to when you were saying when you were growing up with your first hauntings when you were 7, and you said when you moved that it followed you. What made you think it was the same thing following you?
I guess I should clarify. I don't think the same thing followed me. It's just that the phenomena followed me. Like, paranormal phenomena in general just continue to happen. And I don't necessarily think, looking back, that each house I lived in or every place that I went to was haunted, or maybe it was. I could be wrong, but I've looked back and thought, I don't think that those places were all haunted. I think that I was just really open to it. Like I said, when I was 7, I just came in and was like, oh, there's something else here. I don't know what that's about. I'm still weeding through that knowing, that, but yeah, the phenomena just followed me. So I'd go somewhere else. I'd go stay at a friend's house or something, and all of a sudden I'm seeing a shadow figure. I'm feeling like something else is there too. And it's like, I think that I was just kind of very open to anything that needed to communicate kind of being around, but I didn't lean into it for a very long time. So most of the time I was terrified. I didn't want anything to do with it. I was like, get out of here. This is scary and I don't want it. but I still was scared for a long time into my adulthood too. And my like coming back into the scene with Pretty Effin' Spooky definitely was like a calculated move to try and confront the fears I still had about it and the misunderstandings I still had about it.
Very true. For you, if you don't mind me asking, what scares you in this field?
It's interesting. I've thought about that a lot, and I've asked myself, what is it that scares me? If I'm on an investigation and I don't want to, take a step forward into a room, or I'm scared to look around a corner, it's like, well, what is scaring me? What am I afraid of seeing? And I don't know. It's almost like I'm afraid of seeing anything, like confronting the unknown. And it's like, that's what I search for, but it's also like the complexity of it. And it's a very big thing. It opens up our worldview, our understanding of mortality. And it's very life-changing. So I've had to kind of fight that urge to look away, sort of. It's like I sense something and I want to look away because I'm afraid to look it in the face. But I also go for those experiences too, and that adrenaline and that, experience, because I want validation. So it's a very complex answer for me.
Well, let me follow that up, because I don't bring on a lot of paranormal people here. And so the reason why I do the Ghost of the Great White North show with Merle is so that way it's not a forgotten topic for this show or our audience who really enjoys the paranormal. But the reason why I've kind of turned away from the paranormal over the years of doing this show is because a lot of paranormal people cannot and will not admit that they are doing this for entertainment and a lot of their own fun shall we say. There are very few who are actually trying to search for answers as to maybe it's the experiences they've had like you've gone through, or maybe it's to try and find and figure out whether or not there is life after death, or solve some of these mysteries of what are spirits, and are they actually dead people, or are they on a different dimension, a different plane, or whatever. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, so this is an interesting question for me right now in my life, because I found that, especially right now in this moment, but I would even go as far as to say in the last 3 years, I'm in a very liminal state for myself right now. I'm transitioning into more of the interdimensional thoughts that you're talking about, and away from the traditional adrenaline chasing ghost hunting past that I have. And so right now I'm at a place where I'm walking away, I would say, from my traditional ghost hunting past. I'm not interested in joining a team right now. I'm enjoying studying, studying the occult as a whole on my own right now. And I investigate just to basically cure my own curiosity, I guess. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm a very liminal being right now. I'm in a transitionary point where I'm learning all these new things from being online and meeting these people. I'm meeting academics. I'm meeting Bigfoot hunters. I'm meeting, all sorts of people that are opening my eyes to the interconnectedness of all paranormal phenomena. And it's completely changing my trajectory with paranormal research. So I'd say I'm leaning towards probably more what your shows are about. But except that I have in the past definitely ghost hunted for entertainment purpose, for all sorts of reasons, validation, like coming to terms with mortality, all of the above. But I'm starting to kind of have my eyes open to the connectedness of it all.
Is it a spiritual journey for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it involves all elements of the occult. So magic, UFO phenomena, cryptid phenomena, ghosts, like energy, spirit, whatever. I feel like, especially in the last year, my brain and everything just opened up, and I am just taking it all in, and I'm kind of trying to understand, what I'm about, what I believe. Personally, right now, I'm really down with the idea that oftentimes ghosts are not what we thought they were, what TV tells us that they are. Mm-hmm. I'm opening up to the idea that it's more connected to ufology, like UFO phenomena, and I'm getting into that, but I'm not educated enough in that to speak on it, but I'm very educated in my ghost hunting past. So it's like an interesting spot to be in, but
you are
go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry, Merle. You are someone, though, that I'm surprised at such a young age is catching on to that. And let me explain, because very few paranormal investigators or very few cryptid investigators are actually believing that the entire phenomena is interconnected with each other. And yet you're starting to notice that happening in maybe the circumstances that you have seen or experienced. Why are you going down that path when so many other paranormal investigators are not?
Well, I would attribute that in part to the fact that I'm investigating alone, and it's giving me an opportunity to assess investigations with a very keen eye, like under a different kind of microscope than like maybe if you were doing it with a group, or if you were doing it with people filming and stuff, there's nothing wrong with that. But I am in a unique position where I've had a lot of opportunities to investigate by myself. I also incorporate spiritual practice with my investigations, which has opened up like a lot of other phenomena that's outside of traditional hauntings. And also I do have like a very skeptic nature to me as well, that forces me to really analyze what's going on. So I'm often skeptical of traditional hauntings. Like, say when I go somewhere like Waverly Hills, and I go in there and I'm quite a bit more skeptic than the other people there. And then with that skeptical mind of like, oh, there's a ghost named Timmy in this kid's room or something. Like, if any phenomena does happen, it causes me to kind of dig deeper into it and really try to understand it, because I don't believe it at surface level. So I'm running around in circles, but
Well, I want to ask a funny question. I apologize for cutting you off, but considering we're talking skepticism, because you're skeptical, do you ever get the urge to pose with your arms crossed and on a side like this? Because every paranormal team has their skeptic posing like this.
What's funny is I've been filming a documentary this last year that's coming out in 2022. And one of the only promo photos we've released so far is me exactly like that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I called it.
You'll get to see that in action. But it's weird because I believe in a lot of weird stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I'm also I have a very skeptical lens on just traditional hauntings.
And
like
that's
just
healthy.
going. Yeah, it's just, it's complex. And I think more ghost hunters, more anyone in this field should understand that complexity and be willing to kind of ebb and flow and let yourself like go with the flow of that and take in as much information as you can and do with it what you can,
And I think that's extremely healthy. I do. Everybody, I've had aliens showing up at my window during this show. But you still have to remain skeptical and to try and keep your mind clear. I went looking for Sasquatch on the weekend, and one of the paths that I'm driving, I may have found, just from the gravel road, a new area that I may want to investigate. I found a big X about 200 feet off the road, and I wanted to go and look at that, because from my angle, it looks like they're connected, which looks really strange. But if I get up close, they may be 8 feet apart. They may be 6 feet apart. They may be 12 feet apart. I don't know. But you have to remain skeptical, and I admire that about what you're doing. And I also want to say this, as we got about 2 minutes to go. I admire that you're investigating on your own and you're not letting other people contaminate what you are doing. Mm-hmm. I don't think enough paranormal people do that. We see it here in British Columbia. I hear stories right across the United States where these teams, they want to grow, they want to get massive, they want to be the big burly paranormal team of their state or province, and they want to bully people around, tell people where they can and cannot investigate. You're not allowed here because that's our team's territory. We see it all the time in this field, and frankly, it's ridiculous. So the fact that you have decided that you have said, this is my passion, this is what I want to do, this is how I'm going to do it, and no one's going to stop me or rule me or hoard me from what I'm trying to accomplish, I think that's brilliant, Amanda. I really do, and congratulations to you for doing that.
Thanks, guys. It's not easy, and sometimes it pisses people off.
Oh, you're preaching to the choir with that one, because I did the same thing up here with Sandra, and we beat to our own drum, and we get a lot of results and research that way because there's no one to bug us, but then we get a lot of hate on us too because we're literally just beating to our own drum.
Yeah.
Why do you think, you know what, we don't really have time to get into another question here before we go to break at the bottom of the hour, but I always wonder, why do people think that they have to try and own the territory or, bully other investigators, about where they're investigating, or do you have permission to investigate here or there? I think it's absolute garbage and amateur. And this is another reason why, Amanda, I don't cover a lot of paranormal on this show. And it's very rare because the only people that we really bring on this show are high quality investigators. That's it. So I think you are one of them. I can already tell. And we're going to learn more about you, your investigations, what you do. in the next half hour here on Spaced Out Radio. Merle is here from the Paranormal Road Trippers, and he always joins me as my co-host and my mall cop.
Oh, God.
On Spaced Out Radio's Ghost of the Great White North. I think I was going to let you off the hook, Merle. No! Here we go.
I just bite my tongue.
Hey,
right,
Space. We're clear. Good times. Merle, you know I had to.
One day, Dave. One day.
All right.
That's all I'll say.
Yep.
I got this microphone arm now.
You're a microphone
My old
arm.
microphone, it had I had to type around this big stand, but now it's weird. Floats.
Very good.
Where do you
Merle.
want to take it? Where do you want to take it next half hour?
Well, I want to take it by saying hello to Glenn John McEnroe, the pride of Wimbledon. Davey Crotchkick, good to see you, buddy. And who else has showed up? Big J, nice to have you back. And Muse Donald, welcome to our channel for the first time. And who else has arrived? I think we're good right there. Oh, there's Solar Warden, sorry. Oh, look at this. Mall Cop! Might as well call him your Paul Blart. Paul as well. That's sensitive for Merle there. That's sensitive for Merle.
But Dave, what is my real job? I'm not a mall cop. Come on, what is it?
Honestly, Merle has an incredible job of protecting animals. He's an animal cop. He arrests animals for no, he doesn't arrest animals. He arrests assholes for treating animals inhumanely. And I love that about him.
Mall cop.
It's just much more fun, Merle. It really is. Excaliburful, how are you? Kevin, nice to have you back. Amanda's just so quiet.
I am reading some of the comments on here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm outing myself saying that. I have my phone next to me. I was reading some of your guys' comments.
Oh, yeah. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. We encourage it, actually. Mm-hmm. Boy, Merle, your Canucks are sucking gas here, man. Holy cow.
What's the score now? 9-1?
No, it's 4-2. Colorado over. At least they didn't allow 7 goals this time. I'm telling you, I'm on the fire Jim Benning bandwagon.
Thanks. Yeah, I agree. And the coach.
Hello, gorgeous Marie in L.A. How are you? I'm going to check out that area tomorrow.
Your Bigfoot spot?
Yeah. I'm very curious about it.
I was supposed to go this past Saturday, but we got rained out.
Kind of.
To go do the nighttime?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being out in the forest at night is scary, man. It's really scary. I don't like it, but I love it at the same time.
I want to get into that more myself, but I have yet to find out a safe way for me to do that alone. I don't think there is, so I have to figure that out. But.
I'm going to introduce you to Nate Rudd.
He's in Washington.
Yeah, no, he's in Spokane too. And him and his son, Hallmark Corey, his son used to come in almost every night to say hello, but it's Hallmark season, and he's addicted to the Hallmark channel. Drives a Prius, so you got to be careful with him. Okay, but I'll introduce you to Nate and Corey Rudd, see if they'll take you out.
Yeah, I would love that. I would absolutely love that. I've been meaning to get into it for the last
do it.
year.
It's fun.
Yeah.
The gorgeous thin Lindsay Borden, how are you? Congratulations on booking your first guest for our Spaced Out Radio team. Thank you. Aaron, I've got less than an inch of snow. It's about 2 inches in the mountains so far. And Jenny says, not surprised Amanda has spirits. She glows.
I think that I'm just really pale and the lighting's kind of bad.
All right, well, We got 1 minute here, guys. Oh, sorry, Glenn. Very sorry to hear your wife is addicted to the Hallmark Channel.
It's horrible.
Horrible. Horrible. We'll take you here and comfort you anytime, Glenn. Look at that nice German Shepherd picture he has there. That's nice.
Strong dog.
Very strong dog. I think so. All right. I want to say, hey, Spaghetti Lee, how are you, buddy? Good to have you here. Thank you to all the veterans tuning us in. You always have a safe home here on Spaced Out Radio, so thank you so much. A big thank you to the Dutch Princess Sally for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis, so thank you, Sally, and everybody else who contributes. And here we go with the second half hour. Kicking off the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you all with us. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. You can now join us on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We got 35 followers there. Doesn't sound like much, but we just launched it the other day. I'm happy with that. We're going to build it quick and soon here, as soon as I learn how to figure that whole thing out. Tonight, Ghosts of the Great White North. Yes, it's Merle. All day, all night long, the Merle train has hit the tracks speeding tonight on Ghosts of the Great White North as Merle investigates down in Vancouver, British Columbia. Joining us from the beautiful Spokane, Washington, home of the Chiefs, Amanda Paulson. Welcome back, everyone.
Thanks, Dave.
Take it away, Merle.
You gotta do those dances now for TikTok.
I know.
Can't believe I just did that on camera now.
You know what? I'll be honest with you. The whole TikTok thing, I get it. I understand it. It's scary, though. It's totally scary. I don't know if I already have a face for radio. Now I definitely do not have a face for TikTok. But you got to do it.
No, you can do the dances. I've seen them, Dave. You got this.
No. Take it away. Talk some ghosts with Amanda here, man.
Tell us about what you're working on with your documentary coming up. What's going down with that?
Yeah. So I started filming a documentary last October out on the Olympic Peninsula around Lake Crescent. I think this is actually the first place I've said where, but we're getting pretty close to when we're going to start sending it out to some film festivals and stuff. So it's super exciting. I initially went out to investigate claims of a haunting of a woman who was murdered by her husband. It's a traditional true crime story originally. And then our investigation, it's just myself investigating with a camera crew, but the investigation takes a very, very weird turn in a way that really kind of blends all of the things that we're all into one documentary. So it's super excited. It's called Death is With Me, and it's coming out in 2022.
Cool. I just talked to Andrea Perron last week. I did a little interview with her, and I know that you've been to the Conjuring House. Tell me about that.
I went.
Experiences?
The Conjuring House is an interesting one. I'm going to be honest. I went in April with a group of people. I met up with a group of people that met through social media, essentially a bunch of Instagram influencers, which, I mean, I have a bit of a following on Instagram, but I would never consider myself like an influencer like that. But to give you an idea about what the group was like, it was very much for Instagram, if that makes sense, which is okay. I tagged along. I was really grateful and happy to be there, that I could experience the house. We did investigate. I didn't have any like very significant thing happen for me. However, we did perform an Estes session in the living room with the entire group, which was 10 people, so a ton of people. And I was in the box, you know, I was with the headphones on and the blindfold, or headphones and blindfold on. And the Estes session, it's pretty interesting. I have it on my social media in various places. And, you know, we got some like good communication coming through. But the thing that was really, really stood out for me is that in my mind's eye and in my head, I saw a woman come through in the room, and I was picturing the group of people in front of me, sitting in front of me. And I saw a woman come in and stand next to a guy in the group that I didn't know very well. And I got the impression that it was his mom. And I don't know if his mom died. I don't know anything about this guy at all. And I didn't say anything about it because, as I've said, I have not called myself a medium. I don't consider myself a medium. But this thing did happen, and I saw it. And so afterwards, I went up to him and I was like, you know, did your mom die, or did anyone's mom die here? I don't know why I'm getting this impression. And it did turn out that his mom had died. And so I thought that was really, really fascinating. I've never had anything like that happen to me. And I started kind of playing with the idea later in the night that possibly the amalgamation of energy that the Conjuring House has from so many investigators going in and out of there, and all of the history that house has aside from the paranormal, just straight history and just crazy stuff that's gone on there. I started wondering if it was creating some kind of what's the right word? Not a portal, but like some kind of energy tap, like an energy well or something. It felt like all of a sudden there I could have that experience where his mom came through, and I maybe couldn't have that somewhere else. So the Conjuring House was interesting for me. If you talk to the 9 other people that were there, they probably wouldn't say the same. Some of them got really, really scared and had their own experiences. But for me, it just kind of really felt like a very interesting lesson in like what people can do to a location that is also still phenomena. You know, it's still interesting. But I didn't feel like I personally came across any specific ghost there.
Do you find that like you say that people are there maybe making it so you don't get reactions to the paranormal or anything? Why is that? Do you think people are there with not the right intent to investigate, and it's more of just like a haunted house? You'd see it like a fair or a carnival. Do you think people treat it like that too when they're there, or like a sideshow? I
think, and let me be clear, the people I went with, they're my friends. They're great people. Mm-hmm. Well, then that group did not treat it like a serious investigation. So there's a very high possibility that the collective like group attitude and energy that night affected the activity. That's possible too. But I only know what I experienced and what I saw there that night. But I also believe that what other people have experienced there, they did experience there. I almost feel like someplace like the Conjuring House is like a mirror almost, or like you go into it and you see it's like a spot where you can perceive energy in the way that you are capable of perceiving it in that moment, or that you need to see it in that moment. And for me, that looked like a psychic moment that I'm like, that's not even possible. What is that about? And it really changed me. And for other people there that night, even, they had their own experience, and it was completely different, and it affected them too. And I know a lot of people online personally who have gone to the Conjuring House and had their own experiences, and they all seem kind of like different in a way. So I don't know. The Conjuring House is a really interesting one to me. I don't know. The land also in the back. I don't know if you guys have been, but the land too. And there's a bridge in the back that goes to the cemetery back there. That all felt really interesting too. So maybe that plays into it as well. But yeah.
And is that the cemetery where Bathsheba's in?
No, it's like a private cemetery that they have on their land. We did visit the one that Bathsheba her grave was at. It's moved now.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it's like gone. It's just the base of it, but I guess people were messing with it. So we went there. We didn't spend much time there. My trip, I will say, I'm going to segue into something else, I guess. But that trip also was interesting because I managed to fit in one New England trip. I went to Salem, I went to the Conjuring House, and then I went to the Lizzie Borden house the very next night after
That's
the
where I was going next.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that one.
Yeah. And I feel like those two stories, my time at the Conjuring House and my time at Lizzie Borden House, like have to go together, not only because of the consecutive timeline, but because I went to the Conjuring House and said, this wasn't as haunted as I thought it was going to be. And, I was just kind of like, well, what was that about? And so I went into the next day going out to, I actually stopped at the Bridgewater Triangle, went to the, I'm going to say it wrong, the forest out there that's known for cryptid sightings and weird stuff. I can't remember what it's called, Free State or Free something. I spent some time out there, and I went hiking the day before I went to the Lizzie Borden house. Like, I needed some fresh air. I was exhausted from the Conjuring House. And so I went out hiking in this forest, and it was nice. I saw like a butterfly and took a picture of that, kind of wandered around, didn't really pay attention to where I was going. I ended up in the middle, like off the trail, and I found this bridge out there, and it reminded me of the bridge that I saw at the Conjuring House. And this bridge in the middle of this forest, it had the date like 1994 on it or something. That's not significant, but it sticks out in my head. I see this bridge, and without thinking, I just cross it. And I'm kind of reflecting on my investigation the night prior and the Lizzie Borden house coming up. And I cross it, and then I say, okay, I don't know why I crossed that. And I go back, and then I end up going back to my car. I then later go to the Lizzie Borden house, which I ended up staying at completely alone. So it's like polar opposite of the Conjuring House. I'm not only alone myself, but the entire house is vacant. It's Easter Sunday. There's like it's right in the middle of ownership changes. So that was another weird thing, is that the tour guide giving me the tour, I felt like they did not care that I was there. Like, they were like, I don't know how you ended up here on Easter, but like, do whatever you want. And he left me at 7 p.m. and no one came back to the house until 10 a.m. the next day. And,
wow.
And Lizzie Borden house scared the absolute crap out of me. And it was the most paranormal activity I've ever experienced in my face. I went into it entirely too full of myself, ego inflated, thinking I conquered the Conjuring House. I'm just going to do the Lizzie Borden house now. And I went, and it was like the most active night I've ever experienced in my life. And it terrified me. And I think back to that moment, crossing that bridge in the Bridgewater Triangle or wherever I was, and think, and then thinking of the bridge at the Conjuring House. And I'm like, did I cross some kind of threshold? Did I somehow offer myself up to the other, and that whole experience is just so extraordinary to me, and really goes into what I was saying about my mind opening to the interconnectedness of all of that. Because why should these experiences all be connected with the forest and knowing that there's cryptid sightings out there, and being hyper aware of that kind of energy, and then synchronicities and traditional ghosts and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's all connected. I'm just, at one with the other side, and it's just happening around me, so that got really dramatic really fast. Sorry. But yeah, it's interesting. And the Lizzie Borden house was wild. So yeah.
Do tell, what happened in there?
The Lizzie Borden house. So I got some Portuguese food. I don't know if you've been to Fall River. Have you been to the Lizzie Borden house?
No.
No. Okay. It's in a town that's like, it's a small town. Lots of Portuguese restaurants, which I wasn't expecting. I've never had that food before. Delicious. But I brought my Portuguese food back to the Lizzie Borden house. The tour guide left. I decided to get all my food ready, and I'm like watching TikTok on my bed in the room where the mom was found murdered on the floor. You know, it's very morbid. It was like there's pictures everywhere of the crime scene and stuff. And I'm trying to mind my own business and eat. And I was even thinking about showering and like kind of just having a night there, you know, and then investigating maybe at like 11 o'clock or something. And it was like 8 p.m. And I hear a female voice down the hall and, or down in another bedroom. And I was like, okay, that's interesting, you know, and I kind of just clock it as whatever. And then after that, I start to hear footsteps, and the footsteps are what continues the entire night. I start hearing footsteps walking down the hall towards my room. And, you know, I end up calling my mom actually. And, cause I had to go to the bathroom and the bathroom is in the hallway that I'm hearing these footsteps in. And it's so embarrassing now cause I went there as a ghost hunter. I should be excited. But like I said, I wanted to turn away from it. I didn't want to see it yet. I wasn't ready. And, I called my mom to hype me up to go pee in the bathroom because I was like, if I go in there, then I'm going to see whatever it is. But, I start calling like everyone I know just to stay talking to somebody because I'm hearing so much stuff. At this point, I'm just hearing walking and I'm like, I don't know what to do with that. And eventually I end up getting on live, Instagram live. And my intent was to do an Estes session on live with my friend Charisse, like who's in Ohio. And that was my intent. But instead, I get on live, and I end up hearing the distinct sound of boots walking above me in the room above me, which would have been the maid's room. And it's like stomp, 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 stomp all around the room. It's not one footstep. It's not one radiator click. It's not one thing that I can just explain away. It's just absolute walking around the house. And then all of a sudden, I can hear the footsteps in my own room. And at one point in the night, I can hear the armoire, this wooden armoire, kind of creak and shift as if somebody's stepping next to it. And along with that, I was seeing these weird glowing like specks of light, which is so beyond bizarre for me. I've never seen an orb personally. Not big into orbs. I've just never experienced that. But I don't. And again, I don't know if this is sleep deprivation, because I spent the night at the Conjuring house the night before. I'm also stressed out. I'm in this house in New England, all the way across the country, completely alone. Like, what else? There's murder photos everywhere around me. Like, it was like this absolute, like, mental gymnastics that I was playing, trying to calm my anxiety and calm myself down and not be so scared. But the activity never stopped. It just kept going. And I kept getting this impression that it was watching me. And thinking back now, I'm like, it really acted more residual than it did intelligent. But in my head, I decided to tell myself, I was like hyping myself up that it was watching me because it was walking around. Like I could hear it. And I'm sitting on my bed, by the way. I'm not moving from my bed. My equipment's on the floor. Can't bring myself to even go grab it. It's just sitting there. And at one point, the temperature gauge on the spirit box starts going off, and I just left it. I was like, I don't need that right now. And yeah, and I just it was like mental torture, honestly. But thinking back, I would not change any of it because it was absolutely necessary for me to take a step forward into believing more believing in this stuff, you know, like I don't think I could have moved forward. I think I would have been trapped kind of in this like too skeptical mind to be able to move forward in my investigations had I not experienced a night at the Lizzie Borden house. Because what would I be chasing? What would I be doing if I didn't believe in any of it, you know? And I felt like it just slapped me in the face, and it was like, you thought that this didn't exist. It really felt like the other, whatever that is, just said, here's what you were asking for. Like, you need to experience this. And and I slept in my car at like 2 a.m. So
you left the house, eh?
I went out in the parking lot and slept in my car until about 7 a.m. and went back in when the sun rose. And I slept in the bed until about 10 a.m. when there was a gal running like the store that they have in like a shed outside. She came at 10 a.m. She didn't even come into the house. It was a very bizarre scenario, period, because the guy left me in this house. He said, help yourself to the fridge, do whatever you want. And I was like, I just have free reign of this house. And he's like, the girl will come in at 10 a.m. And she didn't even come in. I was in the house till like 11, taking photos and trying to catch up for not getting any photos or anything the night before. I walked out of that with like 2 hours worth of live footage that I managed to edit into a YouTube video. But like, I didn't investigate that night. I didn't investigate. I just experienced it. I just like existed.
You didn't need to investigate it. It was all handed to you.
It was just happening. Yep, exactly.
Wow. Do you think any of that could have been residual energy from the Conjuring house from when you were there to amplify your experiences? Possibly.
I really feel, for some reason, I really am connected to the idea that maybe it was something that happened in that forest. I don't know why, but that experience walking around in that forest, I don't know. I mean, it's entirely possible, like, that something from the Conjuring house went with me. I haven't actually really even thought about that, but I always look back at that moment crossing that bridge. It just looking back, it just seems so symbolic that I just crossed this bridge. And at the time, I just didn't think twice about it. I was just wandering around bored. But looking back, I'm like, the way all of that went seemed so significant that, yeah, I don't know, really blew my mind.
Wow. I want to go to that place.
I want to ask you in regards to the Conjuring house and Lizzie Borden, because for a lot of people on this side, or even most paranormal investigators, will not get the opportunity to investigate there. There's a lot of high traffic areas for paranormal tourism, like the two you mentioned are Waverly Hills, Alcatraz, places like that. Do you feel that this is, sure, they're like bucket list areas, Disneyland for the paranormal, but did you feel you furthered yourself in your own education of it, or were these just areas to investigate that you could take off your bucket list?
I think I approached, because I've been to all three of those locations, Waverly, Lizzie Borden house, and Conjuring house. I went to within like 2 months of each other. So I've been to all three of those big ones. And I approached them as if I was checking them off a bucket list, because they did have a bucket list, especially from ghost hunting for so long. And I went into it with my old mindset of like, I'm going to ghost hunt this place. But sorry, this is like, these are really great questions, but I don't know. I feel like it ended up really just for me being a study in, I don't know, myself. That sounds kind of corny, but I went into it wanting to check off some bucket list items. I went into it not scared of any of them, kind of just whatever. And then left not saying, oh, I saw a ghost in these famous locations, but instead saying, oh, I even more so now don't think that everything is just a ghost in these scenarios. Like, it was just really eye-opening for me, honestly. To experience, like, and my experiences aren't what everyone else experiences. It's not like I like saw a shadow figure and that's what's so revolutionary. Sometimes it's that I didn't see a shadow figure and the person right next to me did. And I have to think about, why didn't I and why did they? And I have to think about how I feel about believing that someone else really did experience something and choosing to say, you did experience that, even though I did not. And now I'm going to research and figure out why I didn't. And that has been like really big for me, and a really big, like,
all right.
tough.
I got to get you to hold on right there, Amanda. Thank you so much. Merle goes to the Great White North here with an amazing guest, Amanda Paulson, paranormal investigator out of Spokane, Washington. We continue with Ghosts of the Great White North in Hour 2 next on the mighty SOR. All right, we're clear. Good times already tonight, people. Good times.
That was a good half hour.
This is solid. Solid so far.
All right, I got questions for top of the hour. I'm good to go.
Oh, my gosh, Merle. You okay? You haven't hurt yourself?
Nope. Dude, I carried that half hour, Dave. I almost asked you. I'm like, Dave, what do you got?
No, I've never heard you speak like that on this show before. So, I mean, dude, you broke your show quota in that half hour.
Dude, the second half hour and the next half hour is my golden time. Then I'm back to one word a half hour. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
See, now you got my wheels turning about the Conjuring house because you were charged to see that guy's possible mom. So you're heightened, your energies, your vibration's high. And then you go to the Lizzie Bourdain house. So maybe you're on the same wavelength, so to speak, or you could use that term, I guess.
Yeah.
And now you're more susceptible to experiencing everything. Like you literally didn't have to investigate it because you lived it when you were there. And that's kind of a interesting thing to think about like that.
Yeah. It's funny because it sounds silly, but I truly did not think about that. Maybe something followed me from the Conjuring house because I didn't I didn't feel like anything was there with me, but that's not to say that like something was there with somebody else or like, I don't know. It also goes into like, I'm not God when it comes to this stuff, you know, like if just because I'm not experiencing it doesn't mean it's not there. And
totally.
Yeah. God knows there's a ton of stuff I don't know still. So always learning. Yeah.
I like it.
That's what's best about the field. Always learning. That's what I like.
Very
I
true.
like doing this show because I always talk to people and I always learn something.
That's why we merle it up, buddy.
Merle it up.
That's why we merle it up here.
How long have you been calling me Merle for?
A couple years.
Yeah.
Couple years.
I don't even think people know my real name now.
It doesn't matter.
Be a mystery.
Doesn't matter. It's all that matters is the fact that
it's the full moon.
It's happening.
All right.
I'm drinking mugwort tea. Have you guys ever tried mugwort tea?
No, that sounds like hippie stuff.
At least you're honest, Dave.
I honestly hate tea. I'm trying to get into it.
Yeah. Yeah. One second. Hey, Big Willie, how you doing? Peace, love.
Is that for spirituality benefits, the mugwort tea?
What
was that?
Merle just cutting me off.
Oh, I always cut you off, Dave. It's our microphones. I don't hear you.
Well, use your
later.
headphones, you weirdo. Hold on. Hi, Big Willie. Peace, love, and taco grease to all. Thank you. CG, welcome back. The lovely Lala B has returned. And there we go. There we go. We're done. That's all I needed, Merle. That's all I needed.
I was just going to ask if she drinks mugwort tea for spirituality benefits.
It's like a sleepy time blend, so mostly to fall asleep after we're done doing this. But but it does cause vivid dreaming is what it's supposed to do. And I have been trying to experiment with self-inducing sleep paralysis for a while. So
I could tell you a good sleep paralysis story, actually. The day I interviewed Andrea Perron, we were going right into the Conjuring house. She was telling some pretty wicked stories that she hasn't told before. And that night I had a nightmare. I was walking in that house like I was really there. And I was screaming for help and I couldn't wake up. And then I literally saw that old hag thing on my chest and she was gagging me with hair. Then I woke up.
Whoa, you didn't tell me that.
No, that's I haven't told anyone that till on the air.
Wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Dang.
Yeah. But so you want to do the sleep paralysis, eh?
Well, I had like about a decade-long bout of sleep paralysis where I was having it pretty often, like at least once a week, and had some pretty interesting experiences with it. It stopped. It hasn't happened now for like, I think a couple years, like 3 years or so. And I've always wondered like why it stopped and why it went on for so long. And so I started kind of experimenting with drinking tea and like trying to intentionally sleep on my back and let myself kind of like meditate into like a weird half asleep position. I haven't been successful yet to actually induce sleep paralysis, but I have been like close to where your body starts to fall asleep essentially, and my brain is still awake. And I have noticed that
hold on here. I'm gonna pause you right here. Big thank you to Spaghetti Lee and Sally for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show. Here comes hour 2, everybody. Horns up.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hi to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Jargonaut. Jargonaut is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok. We're brand new there at Spaced Out Radio. I want to bring in Merle here, our good man. Merle from Ghosts of the Great White North. He joins us from Vancouver, British Columbia, his team, the Paranormal Road Trippers. Tonight we are talking with special guest Amanda Paulson. She is an individual investigator, does things on her own, likes to do it on her own, hangs out on her own, and she's damn good at what she does out of Spokane, Washington. Merle, Amanda, welcome back.
Thanks, Dave.
All right,
Thank you.
Take it away, Merle.
I'll go right into so you investigate alone, which kind of terrifies me because I don't like to investigate alone for safety reasons. What do you do to prepare for investigations or to keep yourself protected?
Are we talking spiritual protection, I'm guessing, or physical protection?
All in. You're going to haunted house at 1234 Scary Lane by yourself. You bring in your case and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You're there for a night by yourself. It has activity of pretty crazy things. What do you do to prepare?
All right. So I have quite a few pre-investigation rituals, I guess you could call it. I do like to carry crystals. I'm a little woo-woo, so bear with me. I do like to carry some protective crystals with me. I'll stick it in my case, and sometimes I bring them out, sometimes I don't. I'll kind of meditate. I've been trying to work in meditation more into my investigations to kind of get myself in a different headspace. And I try to like intentionally say, you know, I'm starting the investigation now, and then I close it at some point. But like I've just picked that up since the Lizzie Borden house because that was so much all at once. I wasn't prepared. But you know, I have a lot of equipment that I bring. I charge it all up. If we're talking like technicalities, I get it all charged up and stuff. But as far as like investigating alone and how that changes how I prepare, I do also, I'm careful about where I investigate. I used to explore abandoned buildings more often back in like 2019, 2020. I was exploring a lot of abandoned stuff out here, like on the Palouse and stuff. And I have taken a step back from that because I can only protect myself physically so much. And so now I'll go investigate places where I can, either there's a public investigation, there's other people there. Sometimes I do that. Or I'll rent out like either a room or a house or, you know, sometimes it's people I know and it's businesses or houses in town. So they're usually pretty secure, you know. So if I was to investigate outside, I would bring someone with me, I think, for safety reasons. But yeah, and that's about it. Honestly, I'm not the best as far as advocating for like spiritual protection before investigations, besides what I just said, like some crystals and some meditation. I work on protection every single day. I protect my house. I protect, you know, I have a lot of spiritual ritual already worked into my life. And I personally believe that is suffice for investigating. It just carries on. So I don't do any other crazy thing personally before or after investigations. I just work on protecting my space every day. But it's different for everyone. Some people really, really are hardcore about protection, and that's totally fine and valid.
Have you ever been followed home from an investigation by a spirit?
I do believe I've been followed home once, and once that I can remember, and in recent memory. It was 3 years ago, I think now, back when I first started my blog, and I investigated a funeral home here in town, but it's now offices, but it's an old funeral home. And what was interesting is it wasn't super active. We were using some dowsing rods, which is something I don't do now. But we had some stuff happen with the dowsing rods, some stuff happen with an EMF meter. And overall, it was just, I should explain. The person who worked in the building was with me. So I was alone as the investigator, but they were present because it was like an office building. And there wasn't much activity, but there was something there. And we got done super late. I went home. I walked in, set my stuff down, and fell asleep. I went to bed immediately. Didn't give a second thought to it. And that night I ended up waking up, kind of a mild sleep paralysis, but I woke up to the feeling of a hand grabbing my ankle at the bottom of the bed. And it startled me awake. And I kind of woke up and was like, oh, whatever, and went back to sleep. And then in my sleep, I had this nightmare that there were hands reaching up from my bed again. Like I could see these hands reaching up. And I got so scared that I decided to wake myself up out of the nightmare. And when I woke up, I was standing in the middle of my bed, upright. And I was just standing there. I got scared. I did this weird flying move into the hallway because I didn't have a door on my room. So I just flew into the hallway and was super freaked out. And, I look back at that and I really feel like that was something that followed me home. It just kind of tagged along. And I don't even necessarily think it was bad. I think I just didn't understand what was going on and it was trying to get my attention. And I was just so tired that who knows what was going on. But Yeah, so that one, I do feel like something followed me home then. And that is actually kind of around the time, like 2019 is like when I started getting really heavily into protecting my home in general and focusing more on that because that freaked me out. So
Your home, I know you've said before, and you said earlier today that you may say it's haunted. How is it haunted? What haunts it? Or who?
So I live in an apartment within a historic mansion that's like turned into apartments. My apartment is not haunted on its own, but I do own some items that I think have some energetic attachments to them. And I also perform a lot of experiments in here. I've used the spirit box on my own in here, tried to experiment with like channeling and like all sorts of stuff. I just get bored in here and do all sorts of weird stuff. So I do tend to have what I believe is energy or spirits moving in and out of here every so often, which I've come to kind of like I come to kind of like that idea of like that spirits can just come and go, that they can kind of need a place to hang out or something, like that they need a house for a second and they just come and they kind of know I'm here and I'm okay with it. I live with my boyfriend and he's even experienced some things here and there and it'll just come and go. It'll be like something moving, something falling. We'll hear footsteps in the back room where I'm at right now. My office has like all of my weird stuff in it. And it'll kick up for a couple weeks and then it'll go away and it ebbs and flows.
And what are these items that have energy and where did you acquire them?
I actually just made a TikTok about this recently. So it's not very many things. It's like 5 things, but I have, let's see if I can remember them all. I have a compass that I left as an offering. This is a very weird story, actually, so get ready for this one. I went to a cemetery over the summer in Wallace, Idaho, and I was exploring with my equipment with the intent of ghost hunting. I don't normally think cemeteries are haunted, but for some reason this one just felt old and weird. And I got called to this tree line to this grave, and I felt like there was like a boy up there for some reason. I was like, I feel like I need to just go up here. There's like a ghost or something up there. And once I went up to the tree line, I heard this massive thing move in the trees. And I say thing because the brush and the trees and the way that it looked was so thick that it could not be an animal. And I also did not see anything move. I just heard it. And it sounded like something was maybe laying or sitting down and got up and took a step. And it sounded like a moose or something. My first thought was like, is that a moose? But then I looked at the area and I'm like, that can't be. I don't know where it is. And so anyway, long story short, I leave the cemetery. But as I'm leaving it, I decide to leave this compass that I carry around with me at the gate of the cemetery, under the impression that possibly I've come across the gatekeeper of the cemetery, which is like folklore of like, you know, there's a gatekeeper of each cemetery. I kind of feel like maybe Sasquatch is the gatekeeper of that cemetery, but I don't know how many people are on board with me with that one. But I left that compass there for quite a while, and I actually went back and I found it and I took it back and left a different offering because I just go with my gut feeling, and I just felt like the compass didn't make any sense. It was just all I had at the time, and I was like, here you go. Well, I brought an offering back, took the compass. Now the compass is here. Now I feel like the compass is haunted for some reason. But like haunted, I don't think that there's like any certain spirit, but I just feel like it kind of radiates really interesting energy. I do have a couple haunted dolls. I have some glass shards from an abandoned school that I think have energy attached to it. And then a deer antler that I got at an estate sale.
Okay.
And that's the extent of my haunted objects.
Okay.
Yeah. It's weird, I know. It's okay.
Hey, I have 2 haunted dolls right now, and what I've been doing with them is I acquired them actually from Indiana. This girl sent them up to Sandra and I up here, and I'm doing a research project where I'm trying to, I don't want to use the word certify, but I want to prove that they're haunted. So I've contacted 5 different investigators or teams within my surrounding areas, and I'm giving the dolls to each team for a week to conduct whatever they want, their investigative style, experiments, bring in mediums, EVP recorders, whatever. You do you for your investigating. And I just got the dolls back yesterday from our first researcher. And man, the clips they got, like for EVPs and some actual REM pod responses when the REM pod was sitting with the dolls was quite... I was like, wow, I got 4 more of these people to go through. I can't wait to see what they do. And then, and then when I've done this project, I'm going to put it all on a video or like a little, whatever, YouTube video. And I'm going to give all this information to Dave and I's friend Ross in Seattle, who owns a haunted museum. And I'm going to be like, here you go. Here's your certified haunted objects.
Yeah, that's so cool. And the teams aren't communicating with each other, right?
Nope,
about the
they don't know who they are.
Sick.
That's I have them as researcher 1 to 5.
Nice.
And they even sign a letter of you're not allowed to say anything until we're done this thing, and then we'll all do a round table at the end together and talk about the experiences.
Wow, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, Dave, what do you got?
I want to go back to the cemetery where you said about Sasquatch potentially guarding that area. I have heard so many different stories from cryptid investigators who have been looking into this, and around cemeteries, especially desolate ones, or where multiple people died, there have been a lot of Sasquatch and Dogman sightings over the years. Yes.
This is incredible.
Including Merle and I and our friend getting chased out of an area where there's a plane crash and 52 people died by a pair of Sasquatch. And
wow.
Story, Dave.
You want to know something really interesting about that certain cemetery is that the cemetery is near this abandoned mine, and there was mine shafts all throughout this this area, and a lot of the miners from miner uprisings and from tragic events are buried at this cemetery. So it's like, it's like not well taken care of, the part of the cemetery that I was in and stuff. So that like matches up, I feel like, too, with and also just the energy that you would assume is in a valley where there's a bunch of mine shafts too, kind of tipped me off. But that is so fascinating because I came to that conclusion and I was like, I don't even know if this makes sense. But it just felt very Sasquatchy, very interdimensional or ultra terrestrial is what it felt like, because it was like so many different experiences at once. It felt ghosty at first, then it felt like a creature, and then it didn't. And then nothing was there. And like, it was just all very weird. And yeah, so that's great to know. That's crazy.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It is completely crazy right now. And, it doesn't matter where you are. These reports of Sasquatch and Dogman are coming in around cemeteries. And I agree with you. I truly believe, after what Merle and I experienced with our buddy Mark, that there is some sort of spiritual protection by these creatures for those sites. And it just makes sense. I don't know why. I haven't figured out the who, what, where, when, why, and how yet. But I think it makes sense that if these creatures are not of a physical source here on Earth, and they are a spiritual type entity, it would behoove them to be a part of something where there is a large spiritual connection. That's my thinking, at least.
Absolutely. Do you have any where I could study what you're talking about, or any articles that have talked about that recently with the Dogman and Sasquatch sightings near cemeteries?
I could hook you up with the people. I think of Jody Cook with the North American Dogman Project. I think of Nate Rudd and the people he knows. Duke from World Bigfoot Radio on YouTube. He would be somebody to talk to about that. He's probably got one of the top Bigfoot channels going on YouTube. I really think there is a lot to this and a lot of meaningful portions that may bring that evidence together.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So we got 5 minutes to go before we got to go to break at the bottom of the hour. We got Merle here along with our special guest, Amanda Paulson, on Ghosts of the Great White North. Amanda, for you, where is this? Are you a fear junkie? Like, are you somebody who loves to push your limits on things that are extreme? I'm not talking bungee jumping or jumping out of an airplane or swimming with great white sharks. I'm saying, like, the paranormal and going at it alone can be intimidating, scary. It can be a real stress on the personal journey that you're on. How do you handle it emotionally and spiritually?
Well, I do think I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie, honestly. So yes, I do kind of like pushing myself to that limit. But it's not easy, and I'm still learning to navigate that for myself. But yeah, I don't know. It's a day by day thing. I like adrenaline. I'm an Aries. If any astrology people here in the chat or whatever, I don't know. I'm not super into astrology, but I am an Aries, so I'm very fiery, very passionate. I do really like pushing myself. But my studies in the paranormal have pushed me way past my comfort level sometimes, and have really forced me to look within and really like weed through a lot of personal stuff and a lot of just what I think about what living on this earth means, you know? So it's hard. And I feel like I've lost track of your question now, I guess, how I deal with that. I meditate a lot and am trying to get into drinking tea, I guess is how I'm dealing with it. I'm taking it day by day. I'm talking to people. I'm trying to keep an open mind. I try to talk to any and everyone who wants to speak with me, you know, and I try to learn as much as I can and find community and, you know, being online. That's the great thing about being online is you can find community and you can talk to people who say, yeah, there's Sasquatch and dogman sightings in cemeteries. And then I can leave this feeling not totally crazy, you know? And yeah, it's just a day by day thing, but everyone that I talk to online helps a lot.
What is your spookiest story that you've encountered in Spokane? We got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. My spookiest thing that's happened in Spokane is I stayed at the Davenport Hotel, which if anyone's been to Spokane, the Davenport Hotel is a really old hotel. It's really cool. And it's supposed to have a ghost of a woman who fell through the atrium ceiling during a party, like in the early 1900s. I stayed there. It was really spooky. And I had a solo spirit box session where I could hear fire trucks and a lot of talk about fire, which I actually didn't know anything about any fire. I didn't expect for that to come through. Later finding out, learning about how the Davenport Hotel was affected by the Great Spokane Fire, and how it was built upon things that had burned in the Great Fire. So I later came to the conclusion that I had actually contacted something before the Davenport and more connected to the area. So Davenport Hotel is super spooky in Spokane.
Right on. Right on. Merle, we got to go there one day. They got Bigfoot in the hills. They got ghosts in town. And they got great music around there, too. They do.
It's our kind of place.
Our kind of place.
Yes.
Definitely. So for you, do you like investigating around Spokane, or is it more about the adventure to find that story?
I enjoy investigating locally. I would say I enjoy investigating Washington State. I think Washington State is awesome. Spokane doesn't quite love its ghost stories, but I'm working on helping Spokane be more comfortable with that. So for now, I'm really enjoying exploring the country and seeing what else is out there.
Make Spokane weird, young lady. Make it weird. Merle, Amanda, I'm going to get you to hold on here as we are going to continue with Ghosts of the Great White North when we return after this break. Of course, Merle is here once a month with the Paranormal Road Trippers and my co-host on this show, hanging out, talking all things ghostly. We love them around here. Merle it up, people. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, we're clear?
Clear.
Merle!
Dave.
Mm-hmm.
You should tell the Bigfoot story to her. She hasn't heard that one.
I always do. You do this time.
No, dude, I told her last time.
No. Look
Nope.
here. No.
She's not going to hear it then. She's not going to hear it.
No. Not doing it.
Dave and I were investigating a plane crash. Flight 21, right? Flight 21?
Yes.
Yes. What year did the plane crash?
1965, July 8th.
And how many people passed away?
52.
And all they had, it's basically in the middle of a mountain, in the middle of the trees, and you literally had to make a road to get to this plane to collect the bodies. No survivors, correct?
Zero.
So myself, Dave, and our friend Mark were investigating. Like I brought my my Zoom recorder, brought a camera, just some light ghost gear, and Mark brought his gun because it's grizzly, black bear, cougar territory, just to deter something if it decided to come run at us. And I kind of, when we were finishing up, I kind of went on my own because I just felt the need to go explore this area. I don't know why, but I did. But then we started hearing you, Dave, you and I both heard at the same time, the ninja talking.
Yes.
The Sasquatch sound, like the ninja Sasquatch sound. And then we heard it from a second one, so it was almost like stereo coming from us. And all of the birds stopped chirping. There was nothing. It was just dead air with these Sasquatch sounds. And then when I'm like, oh, shoot. Sorry, we're on the radio.
No, we're not right now.
I started to go back to Dave and Mark, but then I felt something running behind me and I could hear it. And then it was gone.
Well, then as that was happening, Mark had the one coming at him from a different area. So and the trail out was between us.
Wait, and where did you say that was again?
Here, about
in 100 Mile House, Dave's backyard. Yeah.
Wow. I've only had one, or I guess two with the cemetery, and then filming the documentary that I did. I had some very weird experiences out there. As you can imagine, on the Olympic Peninsula, I feel like that's like a duh area. It's like rich with that kind of stuff, but that's crazy. I want to get out there. I feel like people haven't experienced Bigfoot, Sasquatch, stuff like that because they haven't. It's almost like they haven't lifted a veil to it or something. Haven't put themselves in a position where they can experience it, and that's kind of where I feel like I'm at. Like I feel like I'm close, but I need to really get myself out there and be like, I'm ready to experience this, and then I would, But that's interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm actually, the past while, I've been getting more and more interested in Bigfoot. Like, I talked to Dave about it a lot, like, for years, but then I went out with my other friend. I went on, like, a ride-along with him. He's a Bigfoot researcher, and I called it, like, 24 hours with a Bigfoot guy, and I just filmed him the entire time, what he does, his stories and all that, and just hearing his stories, it's just eye-opening, the things they see, all the prints they lift and all that stuff. It's crazy. There has to be something out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aliens, though, I don't know about that one yet. Oh, no.
I'm down with the idea of it all, but I wish I could say I have more experience seeing UFOs. I remember seeing something in Montana when I was a kid, and it's such a the memory is so faded now that I start questioning if I even saw it. But I remember out on my grandpa's ranch, I saw a light dart across the sky and then dart back, like typical how you would imagine it. But yeah, I was out in Appalachia recently, down in North Carolina, spending some time out in the forest out there in a cabin. And it's weird out there too. That's a really weird area for all that.
I imagine.
Yeah.
But I guess technically when my girlfriend and I were at Wolf Creek we saw a black triangle in the air, and it had I think it was red or green lights, but I don't remember. It was very quiet, but then it was gone. So maybe that was a UFO.
Okay,
I don't
guys,
know.
1 second here. Big thank you to Spaghetti Lee and Sally for the amazing super chats. Really appreciate that. Quickly, what's your TikTok, Amanda?
I'm at Pretty FN Spooky on all platforms.
Okay, here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rockin' Out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and new to TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. And I just added Amanda's channel to us. So if you want to check her out, go to ours. You can find her channel. It's hooked up in our friends list. We'd greatly appreciate it. She got 25,000 followers on TikTok. Girl, you got to help us out here. We got 37 now. A whopping 37. So, yeah.
Well, I still don't understand TikTok. It's weird. It's weird out there.
It very much is. Right before the break, I'd asked you about your spooky stories and everything. What do you want to encounter? What would you like to see that you haven't yet?
I want to see... I feel like this is a typical answer, but I do want to see a full-bodied apparition, like how you hear so many people talk about. I don't feel like I've ever seen that. I feel like I've seen things with my mind's eye, and I've seen shadows, and I've seen lights and things, but I would love to see just a very, indescribable, just undoubtedly ghost, just a full-bodied, looks like a person, but a see-through ghost. I want to see it because I don't believe it's out there.
I feel I've seen two of them.
Really?
I was on the SS Sycamoose paddle wheel boat in a town called Penticton, British Columbia. And we were doing an investigation, and one of the ghosts that are said to be on the boat is the captain. And he's in the upstairs because it's really old. I think it's 1800s style paddle wheel boat. So there's 3 floors. And I had the curator and her sister on the top floor waiting for me to go interview them, their experiences in that. And when I was going up, I walked past the captain's room. And this guy literally took a step out, stared at me, and then walked back in his room. I kid you not, I basically... can't say the word, but I had to go to the washroom for a minute. It was intense because I wasn't expecting it. My mindset was, okay, I'm going to go talk to these ladies, see what experiences they had, and then we'll try and research the areas where they said there's the most activity. So that's my brain at this time. And yeah, he was in his full captain's outfit. He had a little hat on. He had his beard, and clear as looking at you or Dave.
Wow.
The first one I saw was the first ghost I ever experienced. Lived in a haunted house, and it was a duplex, and my best friends lived on the other side. And they had this dog that they left outside named Shaggy. And the dog would literally, at 4 a.m., bark. And when this dog started barking, it was like a crosswind was 20 minutes worth of barking. Just horrible. And I had got home from work at like 1 o'clock in the morning, finally fell asleep. My daughter had come down the stairs. She was a sleepwalker. She was like 2 or 3 years old at that time. And she walked down the stairs, and she came and laid down on the couch with me and fell back asleep. And I fell asleep on the couch. And 4 o'clock in the morning, there's the dog barking. So I wake up, I'm facing the back of the couch, and my daughter is cradled in my arm in between me and the back of the couch. So I figure, okay, I got to go to the window, tell the dog to shut up. And so I start to roll over to pull my arm out from underneath my daughter, and I turn over, and on the other side of the couch, right 1.5 feet, 2 feet away from me, there is the ghost of a little girl wearing a white nightie, long ringlet hair, the big pudgy cheeks that kids have. And I could see right through her on my VCR, which said 4:02 a.m. And I was looking. So I did what any man would do. I quickly rolled over. I screamed. I rolled over, making sure it wasn't my daughter, because my daughter's weight is on my arm. And I pulled the blankets over my head. And I'm panic breathing at this point. And I pinch myself to see if I'm actually awake. And I went, okay, take a deep breath, roll back over, and she's gone.
Wow.
Grab my daughter, run back upstairs with her. 5 days later, my ex-wife hears I'm not at home, hears our piano playing downstairs. Thinks it's the cats running over the keys of the piano. So we had a 2-tiered stairwell. She goes down onto the first tier to look down because she could see the piano. And there's the little girl standing, banging away at the piano keys.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. That was my introduction to ghosts.
Wow. You know, that just jogged a memory of, I've never had anything like that happen. But you just jogged a memory for me of something that happened at my best friend's house years ago. We were in our early 20s and had gone out to the bar, made our way back to her house, and I was sleeping on the couch. And her couch was like in the middle of the living room because it's big. So there was a big empty spot behind the couch where the door was. And I remember I was trying to go to bed, and I was on the couch like half asleep and rolled over to face the back of the couch to kind of like curl up. And I saw the shadow of a man behind the couch. And but the thing is, I've never seen anything with features. I've never seen clothes. I haven't seen like anything like that. I would love to, but I saw this guy, what looked like a guy standing behind the couch. And I did the same thing. I pulled the covers over my head, but like in a very discreet way. It was so like, I was like so scared of him or of whatever this was, like knowing that I saw it. So I just kind of pretended like I was like, and then hid underneath my covers. Didn't move the entire night.
All right, question coming in from Third Phase. Merle, Amanda, if you see a ghost, should you approach it or run away? Amanda, let's start with you.
So I am a big advocate of learning to live with ghosts and not being quick to make them go away, because I don't think that I often don't think that they're bad. I think somebody can know when it's bad. I think you get a gut feeling when it's something that you really shouldn't, but I think we need to learn how to be able to discern what is fear and what is a bad vibe? What is, this thing needs out? And I think you'll find often that a ghost approaching you is probably not bad, and is probably just trying to reach out. So I would say approach it, but also use your best judgment.
Very true. How about you, Merle?
I would agree with her. I would add to, whenever I'm in a situation where I feel there could be a ghost or whatever around, I'll introduce myself, because maybe they just want to have a chat with you. I'll have my audio recorder going, and I'll literally just ask them how they are. Yeah, ghosts were people once. So, in my opinion, if they're coming to approach you in a non-combative or aggressive standpoint, they literally probably are there just like you, trying to have a conversation.
Like Black Dragon, he says, you can match what you feel with your visualization. It does take practice to do it, but it is possible. Very true, our veteran Black Dragon. Very, very true. Have you ever encountered something extremely negative, Amanda? Something that you were just like, I got to get out of here. This is not safe.
That's what I felt in the Lizzie Borden house. Lizzie Borden house was half fear and mental, just, being in a bad mental spot. But also the other part of that was that I inherently felt like whatever was there was not my friend. And I felt like it looked at me and thought, the audacity of this girl to come in here and just think that she can just hang out. So that one, Lizzie Borden house, it felt like a bad dude was in there, honestly. And like I said, I ended up sleeping in my car.
All right. Nicole is asking, have you ever been touched or heard a voice?
So I have been touched and heard voices multiple times. The most recent time that I felt being touched was actually on a residential case that I did here in Spokane. And I don't do those very often, if ever. And I came to the house and I was doing my old ghost hunting team taught me to have paperwork, to do a client interview at the beginning, to have this whole whole routine. And so I was doing that with these people who lived in this house, and I'm interviewing them and I'm writing my paperwork out, and I'm sitting at the dining room table, and suddenly I felt like what felt like the palm of a hand just go like that to my neck. And I was so startled. I didn't expect it, because this was also not a spooky house. But I mean, that's how it goes. I feel like it doesn't have to be a spooky house to be haunted. But it felt fine. And then all of a sudden it was just, hey. And I felt like it was just saying, oh, hey, I know you're here. I'm here too. And I jumped, and the people I was with, I felt so bad. They were like, what happened? I'm like, it's nothing. It's fine. But yeah, I have been touched and heard voices.
Now, Merle there, he is the king of getting punched, kicked, tweaked, touched, tapped, noogied. He gets it.
That's a lot.
You get it all happening there, buddy.
I can think of 2 times. One time, same house though. Same house. 3 years ago, we were investigating a place in Merritt, British Columbia, and I wouldn't say I was provoking, but Dave can attest to this. I'm pretty direct when I do my EVP questions. Like I want the facts. Like, I'm not very fluffy a lot, but I wouldn't call myself an ass. But at this house, we actually had a sensitive person with us, and she was like, "Mike, just careful," because a lot of times when I'm doing my EVP questions, I go into like my actual work mode where I'm just like, and all of a sudden, I felt a hand on my throat, and it squeezed a bit, like not a lot, but it literally, I knew it was there, type squeeze. And I've never felt so much panic overtake me, because I couldn't take it off, like pull the hand off, like it was just there, and it was so cold, but you could feel that it was a hand, and then it just let go, and then I tucktailed and ran outside. I got sick in the bush because it was like of what happened, right? And then we went back in the house and we just heard this loud growl. And then that night we were respectful. We were taking our time. We were there with the curator. The curator introduced us to the spirits and everything. Like, we did everything as respectful as possible. But man, that and then you fast forward 3 years later to this year, and same hallway around the same time, I felt something just go like on my arm, and I was like, I'm done. And I left the house that night. I went back in a long while later, but I needed a timeout.
Does anyone live in that house?
Nope, it's a historic house. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and one medium says it was the same spirit. We usually do this house once or twice a year. We'll do fundraisers for them, and all proceeds go to them. Keep the place alive, right? And we get the same EVP voices every year. So it's like the family still lives there, which is kind of cool on wearing the research hat, because that's verification that they still live there. But the last medium we brought in, he's like, there's one spirit that comes in this house that isn't from here. And that's the guy that has a problem with you. And here we are getting choked and touched.
Wow. That's so cool. That is so cool too, that it seems like the same spirits.
And this year was a big deal to me, because normally I will back off when I feel when the kitchen's getting a little too hot. I'll kind of pull back. But when I got into that hallway, I had the same kind of vibe, feeling that something was going to go down. Mm-hmm. But I continue. I was in there alone upstairs, and take a few more steps, and then my friend, he was at the end of the hallway, but I was alone on this side of the house, and take a few more steps, but then the feelings get a little heavier. Then that's when it touched my arm. And in my head, I'm like, don't run, don't run, don't run. You're here to obtain research. Just do what you're here to do. But I had to leave.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to fight with that like natural instinct to run is so fascinating. And I mean, I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to me like that, like activity wise. But I have to admit, like, if I'm being 100% honest, there's a part of me that kind of is open to that happening one day. I'm going to regret saying that, but I would love to like see for myself that, because I've had tons of friends in the field have crazy experiences just like that. And I believe you and all of them wholeheartedly. I just haven't had it happen to myself yet quite like that. Like, I haven't had a very physical touch like that. And I haven't seen the full figured, like, clothes on the body kind of ghost. And maybe that's, aside from all the emotional woo-woo stuff that I talk about, that's also kind of what keeps me going, is I do want to see more and experience more, you know. That's super, super fascinating.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely is. Merle, you also got punched pretty hard in the kidneys in the barn at the 108 Museum too, from the guy upstairs.
I absolutely forgot about that till now. Now I got goosebumps because you just jogged my memory of that investigation. What were we doing that night, Dave? We weren't provoking. We were.
No, he just hated you.
I have that.
Merle has this uncanny ability, Amanda, where every spirit hates him.
I wonder why that is.
But I'm a nice person. I don't get it. I don't know why.
Yeah, you are nice, but I wonder what they know that we don't.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I was talking to a medium yesterday, actually. Here's some more Merle confessionals that we don't talk about on air usually. I have an attachment, a darker Mennonite-looking attachment that apparently has been with me for a couple of years. So I wonder if that's what it is.
Wow. And so then I wonder if the other spirit's reaction to you is maybe a reaction to your attachment, or to, like, maybe it's changed your energy, your attachment, so that it's like, because I've thought about that before too in some of the scenarios for me where I haven't experienced as much as somebody that I'm with. And I've thought, well, what is deflecting the spirit from me? And I've wondered sometimes if it's something else with me, or if it's something about me, or if I had to deal with some stuff personally that would, like, maybe, I don't know, clear up my aura or something. You know, it's like tons of possibilities. That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
So that's something I'm working on now to get rid of, because we don't want things like that around.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, that barn now you got me thinking about that, the whole kidney punch. We were just doing an EVP session, and he came up behind me. And I guess it wasn't a touch. It was more of a kind of like one of those.
Did it feel like you could feel like the knuckles and everything, or was it more of a sensation of the pain inside?
I don't. Column A, column B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Weird. So, all right, Dave.
Well, we've got 4 minutes before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour, and Amanda's got to get going and check on out after this hour, and Merle and I will carry it till the bottom, and Ghosts of the Great White North happening here. Amanda, for everybody who wants to learn more about why you're doing this, how can they check out your information?
Yeah, so I'm online at Pretty Effin' Spooky on all platforms. That's FN, not the real word. And I'm on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. I've just got into Twitter recently, Instagram, all that. I have a website as well. But yeah, and then my documentary coming out 2022 is called Death Is With Me, and you can follow that on Instagram as well.
Awesome. And for you share a lot of your stories. You're very public about what you do. What are some of the things you have learned in this field not to do?
Oh, my cat.
Well, that's all right. We allow cats jumping into the screen here.
What not to do? Oh, boy. I would say be willing. This is not a what not to do. It's more of a what to do. But be willing to be wrong sometimes. Be patient, use good discernment as to what you share online and what you decide to keep really close to you. Speaking from experience, I've shared things out there online regarding my studies and my research in this kind of field, which we all hold very closely to ourselves because it's kind of almost closely tied with religion or, things like that. It's a very personal thing. So just use good discernment, check in with yourself, and be cautious of what you share out there, because when you share it online, it's not yours anymore. You're letting it go, and that's a beautiful thing too, because we want to share what we learn with each other, and we want to move the field forward. But yeah, I don't know. Just be human, be okay with being human, and treat other people kindly as well.
That's kind of hard to find in the paranormal world. Really is.
I feel like it's an apt message for the paranormal world. And I truly believe that a lot of the problems that the paranormal world finds, I think, is rooted in how passionate people are about this, and the fact that there really is no right and wrong in it, in a sense, because we all decide what we believe. Like I said, it's very close. It's theosophy and closely tied to religion, and just it's just very personal, and people can get really caught up in their own little slice of it. And I don't know. I think that you'll find a lot more fulfillment in studying and researching and investigating the paranormal if you stay kind to yourself and kind to other people, and stay open-minded and, like I said, patient, and just understand that we're all human. We're only here for a short time, and we should all know that more than anyone, that that death is inevitable. That's a dark place to end on, but whatever. Yeah, but be nicer to each other.
Be kind to each other. Absolutely. Yeah. Amanda, what an absolute pleasure getting to know you, seriously. And this was a lot of fun here tonight to interview you, learn your stories, learn where you've investigated. Keep up the great work and stay in touch with us.
Absolutely. Will do. I'm going to look into that cemetery Sasquatch stuff.
It is a good lead. And make sure you hit up Duke from World Bigfoot Radio on YouTube. He's brilliant when he comes to that. Hit subscribe button on his channel as well, if you don't mind. Cool. All right. Merle and I are going to carry it over on Ghosts of the Great White North till the bottom of the hour. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio.
Thanks for coming on.
Right after this. This is what happens when I don't put my finger up. People talk.
Yep.
It's all good. All good.
All right.
Yeah, hit up Duke from World Bigfoot Radio. He's brilliant when it comes to that. And he'll probably be able to give you some really good information on Sasquatch and even some other creatures around graveyards.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what was the man's name in Spokane, real quick, before I sign off?
Nate Rudd. Nate Rudd. Yeah, on Facebook they have a page called WIBS, Washington, Idaho, Bigfoot Search, I think.
Cool.
Hold on, or Bigfoot Society. Bigfoot Search, Washington, Idaho, Bigfoot Search.
Awesome. Going to be looking into that for sure. I really appreciate that.
Perfect. Hey, Merle, I got to make a quick phone call here. Can you just kind of say hi to the chat room? Amanda, we'll see you soon, okay?
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
So Dave has to make a phone call, and I have to go number 1. I will be right back, too. All right, I'm back. So, chat room has a delay. What would you like me to ask Dave for this half hour that we have left? Next month on Ghost of the Great White North, we have Andrea Perron from the Conjuring House. She's going to be with us for 2.5 hours. I've seen Dave eat chalupas from Taco Bell. It's not pretty. He eats quite a few. It's impressive, actually. However, everyone in chat who's listening to me, I need you all to subscribe to the Paranormal Road Trippers on YouTube. It's a must. We need subscribers. We're going to have a plethora, as Dave says, of content coming out right quick. Plethora. Jenny, the dolls on the show, what happened to those? I'm doing a research project right now where I've contacted 5 different paranormal researchers or teams in the Vancouver area. And each of them are going to be taking the dolls for 1 week and investigating them. And each doll, they're going to tell me if they Dave's back.
Merle.
Talking about my dolls again.
Talking about your
They're all
dolls?
going to investigate them.
Awesome.
There he is.
Hey, did you notice? You didn't even notice. We got you up to 500 subscribers last night.
I appreciate that. I saw a few. I'm like, where are these guys? Oh, Dave must be dropping the...
Yeah, we were working it last night, and we got you up to well over 500 now. What are you at now? I'm pulling it up. You're at 507. See, Merle, we do care.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Dave.
Hey, no problem, man. And our big man here at Swamp Dweller, we got some good stuff going to be happening with him very, very soon, as we're going to change the format up at the beginning of the show a little bit. And for people wondering about the floods, I am completely safe. My area is completely safe. It's just east of Vancouver where Merle lives. That's not doing very well.
Merle's safe.
Yeah, Merle was planning on coming up here. He can't get here now. He can't get here. No, he's stuck.
Dave, you have a audience question I got to find for you. How many chalupas can you eat in one sitting from the Taco Bell?
I don't know, but that is a test. I will actually try.
Next time you're down here, I'll film you.
Tony's wondering, does Dave still channel, and is he still having ET contact? I haven't had ET contact in a while. Channeling I haven't done in a while either. Gary Vermeer, Gary Vermeer of Mighty Moose Beard Oil, that you hear me bragging about, he actually lives in Chilliwack, where they are cut off from everything right now. So send a lot of love his way if you don't mind. Gary the Dutchman needs it. And by the way, he will give you a discount on Mighty Moose Beard Oil for it. Here we go, everyone.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Jargonaut. Jargonaut is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce Merle of Ghosts of the Great White North. He's part of the Paranormal Road Trippers. Just type in Paranormal Road Trippers, all one word on YouTube, and hit that subscribe button. We'd appreciate that, as we are talking ghosts and everything going on all night long here. And Merle, you have been working your butt off recently in getting some investigations going, doing some filming, running around, working your channels. How's it been going for you?
It's been going really well. I was contacted by a company in Vancouver wanting to do a little documentary series on haunted Vancouver. And we've done a few locations, but one of the ones we just did that I'm allowed to chat about is the Rio Theater in Vancouver. From my knowledge, we're one of the first, I think we are one of the first and only teams to investigate that place that I know of. And It was really intense. We weren't there for too long, but we were there for enough time to get some evidence. And man, we were doing EVP sessions, just plain old, is there anyone there? Knock twice type questions. And we got 4 really interesting EVPs. And one of them was like, watch the soldiers, or where are the soldiers? This theater was opened in 1938, and I believe that they played like the war during the World War II. They'd play all like the news updates and stuff for the soldiers and the public there, and they'd go check it out. So I'm just wondering if there was any connect to that. So now I'm in the research phase of the investigation of what happened at the Rio.
Well, they would have played the old World War II newsreels in there.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
For the soldiers, right? I mean, that is pretty incredible that you were getting that. You know, a lot of people in Vancouver would love to investigate the Rio Theater, but they do not allow a lot of teams in there. You know, I guess that's the power of having people in the know in Vancouver, Merle.
Yeah, we have a handful of locations. Well, I've been getting some, so it'll be good. That's all I can really say about that, with that part.
No, and I understand. There's a lot of stuff. I know you have some NDAs that you can't speak of when it comes to that. You know, one of the things that has been happening lately is a lot of people questioning whether or not during the COVID era, or whether or not, you know, during any type of situation that's going on, whether people should be investigating or not. Where do you stand on that?
I think if you're practicing safe, you're fine. If you're going into a giant location, it's you and somebody in your bubble, and you're just given access to it, I don't see any issues with that. But if you're being careless and investigating around groups of people, which you don't do anyways as an investigation, I think that's not okay. I just think if you have an understanding and you're doing it by the COVID protocols of your province or state, then there's nothing wrong with it.
I'm going to blow you up a little bit here, buddy. And for the record, people don't understand. Merle is actually one of my best friends. And we chat almost every day. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know about him is, you know, he's been investigating for a long time, and it's only been the last couple of years where all of a sudden all of these big names down in the U.S., where we know them from television shows and other famous paranormal type investigators, have been really trying to get to know Merle a little bit here in trying to learn about not only him, but the hauntings and everything that's up here in the Great White North. Merle, how have you been able to establish these relationships with people that are very hard to come by?
Honesty and integrity, and spaced out radio.
Oh, don't throw me in there. That's all you, man.
No, I know, but no, honesty and integrity, and being in it for the research, not just to scare. Personally, that I think that would be one of the reasons too. And I'm always up for learning, and I never know everything, and I never claim to know everything, and I will always just want to learn more. The more, it's like talking to Amanda tonight, or Brandon and Mustafa last month, or Andrea next month. These are cool people that have cool experiences and different ways of life and technique in investigating. And for me, I like connecting with these people to learn more. And yeah, I just like connecting and doing that.
You were someone, and we brought this up with Amanda, you were someone who is continually getting attacked by ghosts. Why do you think they're picking on you, man?
Because I think I can come across as being cold, and well, not cold, curt and direct. Even when you and I talk personally, I'll even give you a preface of like, I'm not being an ass, but I just have to say it like this. I think it may be the approach that I come across with, knowing that could be a trigger or a set off to ghosts. I've tried to soften up or change my tactics, because I don't really enjoy that, because it takes a lot of energy out of you, and it leaves an energy imprint in you that you have to deal with after the fact.
What's it like, though, being attacked by a spirit?
You're helpless. You feel helpless. But on one side of the coin, you're signed up for that. You go in to investigate a house. What do you expect? Sometimes spirits don't like you because maybe they weren't a nice person in their real life, so they probably may not be a nice person in their afterlife. And being attacked, man, that's violating. That's the word that I was going to use before helpless. It is, because I'm pretty type A, and I don't like to not be able to control my surroundings. And when you have something invade your personal space by touching you, breathing on you, hearing things with your naked eye, or giving you feelings, sometimes you'll get feelings of anxiety or terror when you're on investigations, and that goes home with you. Sometimes you can't always leave it there. You can try and sage and smudge and Palo Santo yourself, but it may get rid of the initial imprint, but then you still have the residual effects you have to deal with.
Okay, so what does it feel like for people who've never experienced it? What does it feel like to be hit or pinched or slapped by a ghost?
Never been the slapped guy or the pinched guy, but to be, like I described earlier with being choked by a ghost, just take your hand and just touch your neck like that. Your hand is warm, but when it was a ghost that did it to me, it was ice cold. But you could feel each little imprint, like each joint of the finger on you, and it squeezed a little bit. And then when I tried my hand up to get rid of it, there's nothing there to get rid of it, but the hand is still there. And even it was the same feeling in that same house when I got touched on. It was one of these, and then it let go. Same thing, ice cold, but you could feel each finger. You can feel the pressure. I'm pretty sure you could see the pressure. I wish I had like a GoPro on when I look down. Going forward now, I always wear a body cam for incidents like this, so hopefully we'll capture it if it happens again. But it just feels like a real person, but it's ice cold.
I've only been pinched once, and that didn't feel good. We were investigating the Gold Rush Trail, and I got pinched right on my collarbone, where it left a red mark to the point where, you know, when you pinch and pull, and you kind of get like that broken blood vessel, mini blood vessel in there.
Oh yeah. What was it? What happened with that? What were you doing?
We were just walking on the trail looking for other spirits to join us.
Oh wow. I can't say that I like the whole touch thing, but even when we do investigations, when it's part of the research, we give that permission to allow it to happen. Could that be a stupid thing to do? Perhaps. But are you trying to document contact or research? Yes. So it's your comfort level. Like I investigate with some people that don't want anything to do with the spirit being around them, but it's okay to pick them up on the gear or their audio recorders. It's all a comfort level.
Have you ever had a spirit that you've investigated, whether it's in a personal case or whether it's at a haunted location that you've chosen to investigate, that has literally chased you out to the point of almost like a Scooby-Doo type of
Yes.
of investigation?
This was my first historic road trip. This was probably like an actual road trip where we hit a bunch of places. So probably 2014. And we went to this place in Vernon, and the team I was with, they're like, all right, Mike, this is your first time here. You got to go in first. You got to go investigate alone. I'm like, I'm sorry. And I open the door. The door opens. And then right when I put my gearbox down, the door slammed. And then the door locked. I'm like, well, that's funny. But then I see when I look down, I have the keys in my hand. And then I go to unlock the door. And it was stuck. It was just wasn't the key that I had to put in because you're on the inside. It's just a little latch. And then I tried again, and then I back up, and then the door just pops open. And then in my mind, I'm like, what the hell did I sign up for? This is nuts. This is like some Conjuring movie stuff here. And I tucked tail and ran out. And I needed a moment to compose myself. And it was then when I realized that, not severity, the seriousness of what we do. This would be the graduation from becoming a ghost hunter to a researcher. Because spirits don't have caller ID, so you really don't know who you're talking to. And that was an experience I had where it made me think about that and ran out like an absolute wuss.
All right. So when you're doing that, I want to ask you, how do you know that you can gain back control of an investigation when things are going on like that?
Well, there's two roads you can take. You can keep walking into the fire and get the reactions, get the evidence you're looking for, or you can take a couple moments to go get a drink and compose yourself, and then restart back up what you're doing. Personally, I don't like to investigate when I'm wound up, annoyed, mad, or frightened, because that you're giving off energy when you're doing your investigation, so that could lead to different types of reactions or no reactions from spirits.
Why is that?
Well, if you're feeling mad, angry, depressed, or anything like that, the spirits could play on that and kind of feed your fire or heighten your depression or heighten your anger. I've seen people flip their lid for no reason on an investigation. It happened at the post house once. An investigator came in. He was already annoyed at something. And a general rule of thumb with investigating, here's just a side note, is try not to investigate when you're mad, and don't walk into an investigation annoyed. You got to walk in centered, neutral, calm, and cool. But he came in heightened and excitable already. And then we were in a more negative spot. We were in the post house. And all of a sudden, he got angry. He started saying how he wanted to get physical with us. And I feel that his tiny bit of annoyance was amplified by the spirits for reactionary purposes on the rest of us.
If a spirit attacks, is it because they are upset with you, the situation, or maybe that's part of their daily routine?
I would say all of the above. It could be the situation, because say you die, Dave, and you're still haunting the house you're living in, and 20 years later, these people come in your house in the middle of the night saying, if there's anyone here, knock. I don't think you'd be impressed with that, because they're not coming in with respect, they're not coming in with intent, and they're not asking to be there or have a chat with you. And I also feel that, like I said earlier, spirit could be a kind of a cranky person in their real life, and you can come across that same cranky person in their afterlife, and they're still just as cranky, not wanting to talk to you or be around you, or something you say could just annoy them even more, and that could get more responses. Say if they swing a punch in their real life, they could be swinging punches at you in their afterlife.
Okay. So if that's the way they are in the afterlife, how come they're not finding peace?
That's a good question, and that's something that I research. Why aren't they? Why are they still here? What are they attached to? Why don't they want to cross over? Why can't they cross over? What's the rules with crossing over? These are all questions that I ask myself all the time, and what I try to learn. Sometimes maybe they just don't want to. Maybe they're guarding a place. Maybe they can't leave it.
Really?
And I'm not scared to say I don't know why, because I don't.
Phil wants to know, Merle, why would you buy a murder house?
What do you mean? Why would I buy? When did I say I would buy a murder house?
Or, pardon me, would you buy a murder house? I read that wrong. I apologize.
Oh, the housing market in the Lower Mainland is extremely high. It costs $1 million for a shoebox. So if there's a good deal on a house, maybe. You can just cleanse it and make it your own. Depends on the house too. I've talked to that. This is a good topic between investigators or people that are into true crime and stuff. Would you go buy a house where that guy was axed in his basement? Maybe. I'll go check it out. If it happened like 40 years ago, it's not like it happened 2 weeks. If it was 2 weeks ago or a year ago, maybe not. A little too soon. But maybe. Would I buy a house? Maybe. I'd buy the Conjuring house. It's for sale. I don't know how often I'd stay there, but I still would want it.
And it's funny that question is asked because I have a couple of realtor friends in my town. And I have said to them point blank, I want you to find me the scariest, spookiest place that you can find in our area. Because, Merle, you know my area. Everything's haunted around here.
Mm-hmm.
Everything.
It's old.
And I have asked them to do that. And I said, there's no hurry. The only thing I want is I want it right. I want people who have rented out this house and they've gone through 5 different sets of renters in the last 2 years. I want that house. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it into a bed and breakfast. A haunted bed and breakfast. Why not? Why not make profit off of it? That's just the way it works. Right? So, I mean, this is the way I'm looking at it. I would totally buy a haunted yard and house. I would love for that.
Would you live in it, though?
Oh, hell no. Maybe. I shouldn't say no, because I would want to rent it out. Because there's a big paranormal market out there with the proper advertising and the proper SEOs and the proper website and social media presence. It would be great. You hook up with the tourism associations. Like, for instance, if the 108 Heritage Site ever became for sale, I would look at buying it. You could clear out the rooms that are in the main house, turn them all into bed and breakfast rooms. You could do a lot there. Mm-hmm. And people would come for the paranormal adventure. Why not? A lot of people say, hey, you shouldn't be making money off of this. But if I can, why not? As long as it's being done legitly and nothing fake. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing we see at the Conjuring house. I know Andrea Perrin doesn't agree with that, and we'll get into that with her next month, but I have no problem with that.
I think it's a respect level, though. Like, for me, whenever I go on an investigation, doesn't matter if it's a private residential house, a school, or a cool building like 108 Mile. I go in with respect and intent. And I think that's how it's... I don't agree with people just going in for a scare to do this stuff. I know there's a money-making aspect of that. But for me, I separate myself from that. I just feel that you're disrespecting the people who may be haunting or still living there.
Okay, we got time for one more question here. And this one comes from B. Hoff, who is asking, wouldn't it be hard for all of us to let go of this existence and cross over?
That's a reflecting question. Wouldn't it? No, I don't think so. It's not a great state right now. I think they say that the other side... See, we don't know what the other side's really like. That's one thing that I research. What is the other side? Why don't spirits want to go there? When others say, who've experienced it in near death and that it's wonderful and beautiful. So, if it's so wonderful and beautiful, why would it be hard for people to cross over? You'd want to. That'd be like you won the game type thing. Or am I wrong?
You never know. Merle, do us a favor as we got 1 minute left. Tell everybody where they can find you on YouTube, TikTok, and everywhere else.
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, The Paranormal Road Trippers. Road Trippers, 2 words, Road Trippers. And we upload content daily on Instagram, and we have a lot of stuff coming out on YouTube pretty quick.
That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. My friend, it's been another great month of paranormal talk. We will talk to you next week on The Angry Ghost Hunter with Jacob Rice and Ross Allison. And I got Ross here next week as well as a guest on the show to go over his new experiment into the paranormal. And that I'm looking forward to that. I'm just going to tease on that. But Merle, it's always a pleasure to have you on here, and thank you for bringing on Amanda Paulson with us for the first 2 hours. Great get for you, and good job, buddy.
All right. See you next week.
All right, that's Merle, everybody.
Merle.
From Ghosts of the Great White North, the Paranormal Road Trippers. Make sure you hook on up with them on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook. He doesn't like Twitter, though. Merle can't speak in 300 characters or less. We'll be back. Thomas Vessler filling in for the fedora-wearing John Hudson on the Unbiased UFO Report next. Good job, Merle.
Strong show.
Very strong. Very strong.
Was that a good half hour? We usually have a guest then. Did I fill the void for you, Dave?
You did great. Hold on. We got some Merles coming in here. Here we go.
Here they come.
Merle. Where else we got some Merle? There's a Merle.
There's a good Merle.
There's a Merle. Solid Merling by Duke at World Bigfoot Radio. Even Thomas Vessler's going to jump in and Merle you.
Good.
Merle, how's it going?
Merle.
Freaking talking about some great things. Absolutely. I mean, Dave, you're just talking about the hot spots of where people could possibly go, and John Cardy's got a freaking manifestation that would blow any freaking movie or anything you'd ever see on any of those one of those fake TV shows any day.
Oh, yeah.
Visual proof every day on freaking infrared stuff that you can't see with the naked eye, and they can't say it's dust because dust shows and everything.
Yeah, it's incredible. Incredible. Merle?
Merle, you've got some great stuff going. Absolutely.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Merle, we'll let you go, buddy. Super Quest here before you let you go. He's the official bodyguard of Spaced Out Radio, and
awesome.
He gives you a Merle as well. All right, buddy.
Awesome.
I'll call you
Ciao.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Love that guy.
Absolutely. He knows his stuff.
He does. You know, it's funny that, up here in Canada, Thomas, the paranormal is not a big deal. You know, like, there's people doing it all over, but it's not a big deal, like, publicly. And he is...
It's something that's more of accepted than it is people just trying to, talk about it a lot.
People want to ignore it. And in Canada, we have a bad habit, whether it's UFOs, ghosts, or whatever, that if we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I hear you.
You know?
But it's freaking real. I mean...
Oh, yeah.
For me, it is, because I get these freaking reach overs from the other side, and I just get these vibrations that come across my body, and just different patterns, and things come to you that normally wouldn't. And it's... It takes that old concept of heaven on earth. It makes it a lot more real than it's the only way I can explain it.
I agree.
And what the other side is, maybe it's a waiting place of where you're at before you come back again, and you keep on going through again because there's something to it. It's like there's so much more to life than we even get a glimpse of. Even the ETs told, Einstein's assistant that we're basically idiots, and we're not that smart. We only know so much compared to what's out there. So, and I'll take that any day. We know something, but definitely not the big picture. Almost as good as SETI with.
Oh, we're going to get into that. And just for our audience understanding here, Thomas is filling in for John Hudson. John isn't feeling very good tonight. He's not been feeling good for the last few days, so that's why he hasn't been here. And he's hoping to be better maybe for Friday, if not next week. And Thomas, I'm going to
Well,
you
best
know.
wishes for them. And sometimes when things go on, you just have to take the time and, wish people the best.
Yeah,
It can be challenging for anybody.
everybody needs a break. Hey, if your body's not up for it, you gotta take a break.
Oh, yeah. I know that one.
You got that right. So I may need you Friday night too, if you don't mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I hear you.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. And if you haven't signed up for Thomas's show yet, just Thomas Fessler on YouTube, make sure you do so. It's great entertainment leading up to what we do on a nightly basis, and always provides great entertainment. I'm there every night before the show, listening in, warming up for this show, getting caught up. It's actually perfect for me, your show, to be blunt, because I'm working all day, and then I always feel like I need to rush into the UFO stories and whatever's happening. And thank you, Spooky, for posting the link. But I got your show that sets me up perfectly. So, part of my success, I know is that your puppy?
That's Cupcake. She's making herself known. I'm just trying to get her to relax.
Yeah. So, go sign up for Thomas's channel as well. I want to say a big thank you to Thomas, Chad, Rob, Spaghetti Lee, and Sally for the amazing super chats tonight. It really goes a long way in supporting what we do on a nightly basis here on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you to everybody who hit that subscribe button and checks out our swag on our website. Here we go, everyone. We rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It's time once again for the unbiased UFO report. Filling in for an ailing John Hudson is Thomas Fessler. Here we go. All right, we bring in Thomas Fessler here from Disclosure Tonight YouTube channel. Thomas Fessler hanging on out with us. And Tom, there was kind of some big news that I wanted to talk to you about, and this will pretty much eat up the entire time. And this is a big debate happened between the Galileo Project's Avi Loeb and members of SETI. I mean, this was, for people who don't know what SETI is, it's a search for extraterrestrial intelligence. And this is a team of scientists that is set up by NASA, I believe, as part of a NASA program to look for signals and any type of life formations out in space. And for 40 plus years, they found nothing. Zero, zilch, nada, whatever zero you want to put on there, they've found nothing. That we know of. So I'm going to let you take it away here. What happened?
Well, there was there was a presentation that went on today from SETI, and in that, basic long presentation, they came at it from a real amateurish kind of a view of it. They clearly didn't do a lot of research with regards to the phenomena or even current events of what had been going on between the United States and Russia with their current hypersonic missile tests. And at the end of it, it was a clear, putting the palm out, asking for money, trying to say that, they need to upgrade their imaging and different stuff that they have. But it's more of a play for finance than it is for a play to go ahead and recognize something, because for the longest time they've been saying we have to look up out there in deep space, but reality is it's down there. It's on the planet. And that's the problem. So it's an interesting situation to take the least. What's your take on it?
Well, my take is this. I think there's a lot of ignorance that comes along with it. All of these government programs, they don't ever bring facts to the table. They only bring begging for money. We can't do it because we don't have enough money. We can't do it because we don't have enough technology. We can't do it because we don't have the right people. You've had 40 years to find something. How can people around the world be seeing these anomalous objects? How can astronauts sitting on the International Space Station see craft and their takes are ignored by groups like SETI? Thomas, it sounds absolutely incredulous.
Yeah. Now, granted, they did have some good panelists to come in and answer some of the questions, but even some of them, because their affiliations with government agencies like NASA, that are all tied up underneath the broad restrictions put in place by Susan Go from the Department of Defense, when there's things that they could talk about and possibly answer on, they either had a pass on, or they had to, give an answer that was a lot less from what they know. Because honestly, it's like when they brought up the opportunity and different things to talk about, about getting real reports from airline pilots, neither of the panelists, including Robbie from NASA, who actually is good friends with Ted. I mean, not good friends, but has been meeting with Ted Rowe from NARCAP, and where they've documented, reports from pilots interacting with UAP that are credible reports going back over 100 years. So you just have to look back and you listen to some of the questions, how they were framed, but even just some of the answers. It's, there are good people that were there, but it's not going to be people who are going to be able to give you the full big picture. But again, give me the money. Give us the money. But they don't even know where to find the stuff. They think that they can just go ahead and put additional imaging and replace their imaging stuff at their existing sites. Well, here's the thing. How often are UFOs being sighted over facilities that are, for observations? Probably not a lot. Do we have a lot? Are there some that are over military sites? That's just bias. They're all over the place. It's a worldwide phenomenon. And clearly they're not connected in an understanding of where ufology is today. Not just ufology itself. It's the reality of the science and the observation and being able to have an idea of they're no different than other living creatures, where they have patterns that they follow. They have different things that they kind of go through on a regular basis. So if you know different places of where you can observe them based on paths and different things that they do, and there's sites like that in Hawaii, in the America Southwest, in Brazil, in Chile, in Peru, in Italy, all over the world, Australia. And it's just, being connected within that community observers, but it seems like they're just still out in space.
Thomas, one of the things that I also noted was that Avi Loeb really got defensive from a scientific point of view of members of SETI putting down the UFO community, calling it pseudoscience, and basically saying words and stories that really can't be trusted by the scientific community. And Avi Loeb really seemed to take offense to that.
Well, who wouldn't be? I mean, Avi Loeb is trying to, if you would say, approach this from a very scientific perspective. He's very knowledgeable. He has many degrees. He heads up departments at Stanford, Harvard. He's been practicing and postulating and observing and seeing where this is going on a very high level for a long period of time. So think of who he is, the network of all the people that he's working with. He's got some gems of information that have been coming to him that help him at least assess where it is. And if you've got someone, again, who's been focusing on looking up out there, not in the reality of where it really is, going and being critical I mean, they're even asking tonight, so you're going to go ahead and start looking for this stuff. How long are you going to let this program, go ahead and run for before we go ahead and bring it to an end? Because, look at the Conan report and when they brought that to an end, and it was over a period of time versus approaching this saying, wow, we have a whole nother area of science, of exploration, of understanding ahead of us. But they want to run like chickens.
No, it's true. And, I think it also shows the ignorance that we are seeing at members of the scientific community who are not believing. Look, you don't have to believe me. I'm a nobody in this field. You're an experiencer. I'm an experiencer. But in the end, we're nobodies. Okay? But when you are literally dumping on pilots, whether they're airline pilots, whether they're civilian pilots, whether they're fighter pilots, and claiming that they're not seeing UFOs. Okay, even though the evidence is pointing towards that. The last time I checked, most pilots, if not all of them, are pretty well schooled in knowing their surroundings, knowing what is on their radar, knowing where birds are, knowing where other airplanes and other craft are in the sky. They're pretty observant. And then you get the astronauts, like the Russian astronaut about a year ago, who literally photographed a flying triangle in the sky. It doesn't make sense.
You got to remember, SETI is used to looking at a lot of data, and they're used to finding nothing. So when people are actually making results, they're looking at it in a wrong way because they're so programmed to be able to look at all this stuff and say, look, it's nothing, look, it's nothing, look, it's nothing. So when people are seeing things, they're used to saying, look, it's nothing. It's got to be a bias coming from the agency that should have been having its eyes open and ears open on a global basis, but they had a very narrow vision of what they could possibly look for.
And I hear you on that. But to me, doesn't it kind of hurt Avi Loeb's argument where he is arguing with SETI about their so-called zero information that they have received over 40 years, yet he takes the biggest skeptic of them all in a gentleman named Seth Stoshak and adds him to the Galileo Project team, where Seth Stoshak has been an absolute thorn in ufology's side for the last 25 years.
Yeah. I've seen other YouTube channels go ahead and bring other skeptics on their side just to go ahead and quiet them down. So sometimes there's an opportunity, they'll do that, but also in their opportunity, Seth knows he's approaching this from the ability to go ahead and call anything out. So if they're showing him bringing behind the scenes and showing him the real data, what better of a way to go ahead and get a person who can understand the data?
Yes. If you're hearing a dog in the background,
sorry about that. Let me get
that's okay. But your dog is what, 17 years old?
Yeah, she's 17.
Yeah, she has every right to be making noise at this time of night. I'm okay with that, and I know our radio audience will be okay with that as well. But, with SETI being a part of NASA's programs, and now you have SETI still in denial, yet the new NASA head, Bill Nelson, is talking about UFOs and potential extraterrestrial life that NASA now needs to be looking for. Does SETI even know what their bosses are talking about?
Oh, I'm sorry. Just Bill Nelson from NASA reminds me of an Amway salesman. Just the way he looks and the way he talks. There's like he's going to keep on talking about something, and eventually maybe he's going to say something, but he's never still going to be clear about what the heck he's talking about until, a lot longer down the road. It's just NASA has been, let's be speculative. I like to be realistic as I can, but from my point of view, NASA has been covering things up for a very, very long time. Write that down. And they've been prolifically, basically keeping this away from the public. Anytime things were going on the space station, where they were that something would start coming into view and they immediately would go ahead and cut the view to another camera. We saw them doing that not so much at the beginning, but later on with the shuttle as well. So they've had a history of monitoring for what will go out there to the public, what we're allowed to see, and what they're going to allow, to get out. So they've been in a very tight control of it. I mean, so SETI you've got someone who's been trying to find something and can't find anything. And then you've got the agency who's acting like we don't know anything, but we actually know a lot. It's two different birds, but they're both majorly fractured.
Well, and that's what I say. We don't know what SETI has found or not found. That's the problem. We don't know. We can assume, if we take their word at it, that they've found nothing for 4 decades.
That's a good approach.
Now, if we look at NASA with Bill Nelson, okay, we're hearing that they're just learning about these UFOs that are flying in the sky because he heard from Navy fighter pilots.
Oh, my God.
Right? Well, have you talked to your astronauts?
Have you talked to Gordon Cooper? Have you talked to, there were so many of these people who are astronauts who went and talked in front of the UN, in front of different bodies with respect to the situation. And they're just like, they want to plug their ears.
I can see, when Buzz Aldrin punched that guy in the face who said, "You never went to the moon." I do believe we went to the moon. I really do believe we did. But I do not believe for a fact that they did not see anything.
Yeah.
I want Bill Nelson. You know what I want to ask Bill Nelson? Play us the tape, the secured tape of Neil Armstrong, where he allegedly, and many people from NASA have quoted this, where he allegedly said, "They are here, they are on the hill, and they are watching us." That's what we need. And if Bill Nelson, former astronaut as well, is that ignorant not to bring things like that up, or confirm or deny Donna Hare's position of scrubbing photos of bases and craft in the sky?
Yeah, someone posted a picture up before it and actually came back from a NASA server, and it was of the moon. They were like, "What's wrong with this picture?" Right? And everyone is going and looking, and it's like, "Oh wow, I see the shape of this, or I see a shape of a desk, or a woman by a desk and a door and something in the blackness of space." So I went and I took the image and I just did some adjustments on it with brightness and contrast and something with the levels. And all of a sudden you could see, you could kind of see those shapes because you can still see the brush strokes. So what the hell were they going? And sorry, I did it again. What the heck are they going and brushing out?
That's the big thing. Thomas, thank you so much for filling in for John Hudson on the Unbiased UFO Report. We really do appreciate it, and we want our people to also go to Thomas Fessler's YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. He is always on 2 hours before Spaced Out Radio. Good lead up to us. Thank you so much for your time, Thomas.
Yep. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Take care. All right, let's get to the news. Is always changing, which is why we rely on Shirky Poo for the Newswire. We're going to start off in a nice elementary school here where the kids got a nice surprise in Florida. An owl paid a visit to a teacher's classroom where the school mascot also happens to be an owl. How cool is this? Bonnie Warren, a second-grade teacher at Central Park Elementary School in Plantation, said students already had been dismissed for the day when the owl decided that it wanted more knowledge and flew into her classroom. Warren filmed a video as the bird explored the room, then landed on a book titled Nature's Show-Off. It was unclear how the owl got into the building, but the owl is safe and back in nature. Moving on, a field of debris hurtled at some 17,000 miles per hour through a part of space where a derelict Russian satellite, Cosmos 1408, once orbited. Later that day, U.S. State Department officials claimed that a 1,500-plus bits of flotsam originated from a Russian test of an anti-satellite missile. The risks of so much floating junk immediately became apparent. The fragments flew dangerously close to the International Space Station, forcing the crew to take shelter in at least vulnerable parts of the spacecraft. The situation could have played out like a scene from the 2013 movie Gravity, in which an astronaut, played by Sandra Bullock, flees the ISS as it is destroyed by a massive clump of orbiting debris. U.S. officials think otherwise. The debris created by Russia's anti-satellite tests will continue to pose a threat to activities in outer space for years to come. So, U.S. Space Command and the Space Force is now looking at ways on cleaning up our orbits. There's over 4,000 satellites up there, never mind just the debris. It's about time that we do something. You know, because, I mean, you think about it. The little chunks, maybe the size of a quarter, and big chunks the size of buildings are floating up there. So they are actually looking at cleaning it up and avoid making more space junk by hiring private companies to figure out how to do it. Oh, they're planning on awarding dozens of contracts worth about $250,000 each. Well, great. That'll get them about 16 feet off the ground. But one way or another, it's something that needs to be paid attention to, says Jeremy Grimmett, the CEO of Rogue Space Systems, a company based in Laconia, New Hampshire, who wants to take up the idea of trying to clean up space as it is. All right, moving on. Where are we here? Let's go here. Sad news out of Florida. More than 1,000 manatees have died this year in a new report. It's the highest record number of manatee deaths in decades. 1,003 manatees have died in Florida through 2021. According to the mortality report from Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, the primary driver of manatee death? Starvation. Wow. Yeah, the atypically high number of manatee deaths prompted the FWC earlier this year to declare an unusual mortality event. By this time last year, only 498 had died. It's doubled. Of course, because we keep moving into their territory. How about we just let those peaceful animals live? Let's get to the thought of the day, shall we? What are you spiritually connected to? Oh, that was yesterday's. Hold on. Screwing this up right off the bat. I thought I had the right one. Maybe I didn't. I don't think I did. We're almost too late here. Let's see. Ah, here it is. What do you love about the paranormal world? Gail, it's full of surprises, things out of the ordinary. Bob, always interesting and challenging. Nora, it makes you think outside the box, expanding your mind to possibilities. Cassie, the mystery of seeing more out there, dimensions, portals, communication with the unknown. Jim, my wife said if I did any less around here, I would be haunting. Oh my. Catherine, honestly, mystery of exploration. And Caden gets the final word. Every day I learn something, whether it be what to do or what not to do, depends on the situation. Thank you for everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave. We'll do it all again tomorrow. We appreciate that. Thank you to Shirky Poo for the news, Thomas Fessler filling in for John Hudson on the Unbiased UFO Report, and of course to Merle and Amanda Paulson for a great episode of Ghosts of the Great White North. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home.
I know you're out there somewhere. Watching me.
the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.